a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you, Sports Radio 94. WIP, Jack Fritz behind the glass, Rob Cherry on the updates. You guys with us, 888-729-9494, pound 94942. Hop on in. We got a lot going on tonight. A little process pregame show, postgame show later on. Eliot Shorr-Parks of NJ.com coming up at 8 o'clock. Talk Eagles as Frank Reich officially is gone to the Indianapolis Colts, and it's real. The Colts actually have a coach. This time it's not fake like it was last time. So Frank Reich is gone. We know John DeFilippo is gone. We don't know who the Eagles' offensive coordinator is. We'll get into all that kind of stuff as we go throughout the show. I also have a great ticket giveaway for you. Later on, we'll tell you how, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this tonight. If you're creative, let's just say, if you're creative and you're smart and you're ready to be funny on the air, you might win tickets to the Flyers and the Devils tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Wells Fargo Center.
The hot Flyers.
The red hot Flyers.
Listen, Jackie Pucks started coming around the Flyers.
I saw you tweeting about the Flyers over the weekend.
Listen, I've been following the team. I'm in. This post-football season depression is real.
I'm surprised you're not wearing a Travis Konechny jersey, because there's no bigger Konechny fan in this town than Jackie Pucks.
You're right. Jackie Pucks is all in on Travis Konechny being the future of this team. And that's talking hockey.
How about this city in general? Look, the Sixers, and they'll play tonight against the Knicks. We'll do a little process pregame later. They haven't lost since the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And now Marco Bellinelli is in the mix. And now you have the Flyers, as Jackie Pucks mentioned behind the glass, who haven't lost either. And they've been really good now for a couple months. So we have tickets to give away, Flyers and the Devils tomorrow night. We'll tell you how in just a few minutes. But just to start here, I have to say I wasn't ready for this, but now I'm ready for it. That the conversation we have to have tonight is something I wasn't mentally and really physically prepared for. Because I think this is going to take a lot of mental and, yes, physical strength to get through this conversation for the next month and a half, 2 months, whatever it takes for the Eagles to make a decision. So I popped on the Midday Guys today, and they were talking about Nick Foles and his future, which I think today for the Eagles is the beginning of the offseason. I'm sure their scouts and some of the front office guys have been working on things throughout the playoffs, because you can't be held, you can't be way behind every other team just because you win the Super Bowl. That's not how you sustain excellence. So I'm sure the Eagles have been planning a little bit for this offseason and what they might have to do for cap space, to get more draft picks, and to build the best team for 2018. I'm sure. There's no way they woke up this morning and said, okay, the offseason begins today. We partied last week. They've been working. For the rest of us, the offseason began today. And with that begins the Nick Foles conversation. And I think tonight we should have some Nick Foles real talk. Some real talk about Nick Foles. Not what he did, because we could all agree what he did was spectacular. No matter what we talk about tonight in terms of Nick, his future, what the Eagles should do, it takes nothing away from what Nick Foles did for the Eagles. He will forever be the quarterback that dominated in the postseason, that had one of the great postseasons of all time and delivered a Lombardi here to Philadelphia. That's Nick Foles, and that will last with him for a long time. But the Eagles should absolutely think about trading Nick Foles this offseason. There's not even a question in my mind that Howie Roseman has to be exploring every avenue to see what Nick Foles' value is. Now, I mentioned the Midday Show because I saw their poll today. They had a poll. It's a pretty simple poll, straightforward. I found the results fascinating. So the poll they put up was, should the Eagles consider trading Nick Foles this offseason? At last time I checked it, which was about an hour ago, 51% of people said no, not even consider it. Now, if you don't want to trade Nick Foles and you're against the idea of subtracting from the most important position on the field, I understand that. But the idea of not considering it, I don't understand. Every player on every team has to have some sort of value. That's the way good teams are made. And that's the way good front offices run their business and run their team. We're all still basking in the glow of the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. The Eagles have a lot of issues they have to work out over the next couple weeks and months. Nigel Bradham needs to be retained, and I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know if Jason Peters is worth the money he's going to make for next year, especially when you saw Vaitai play the way he did down the stretch. Malcolm Jenkins is a big number for next year. And while Nick Foles is relatively inexpensive because you're only paying Carson Wentz so much, the quarterback position isn't expensive, Nick Foles still has a pretty high cap number for next year in the grand scheme of the Eagles. They could use that money to go pay Nigel Bradham. They could use that money to make sure they keep a Jason Peters to make sure they don't have to cut a Malcolm Jenkins. Not that they would do any of these things anyway, but it makes it easier if you have $7.5 million you didn't have. So yeah, there are plenty of reasons why Nick Foles' salary is a detriment to the Eagles next year. And I'll say it like this, plain and simple. I don't want to get rid of Nick Foles. And you might say, yeah, you're the guy that said he couldn't do this. You just want to get rid of him. No. I don't want to get rid of any player from this team. The reality of the NFL is this. It's hard to keep everybody. And Nick Foles could potentially be really valuable. I have no idea what Nick Foles' value is around the NFL. None. He's the hardest quarterback I've ever seen in terms of evaluation. I heard Bill Polian last week on ESPN say 2 1s and a 2 is where you start the conversation. What?
We need to stop listening to Bill Polian.
Maybe that's true.
Bill Polian is insane.
Maybe he's the old man that just needs to stop yelling and talking on ESPN. Maybe you're right. At the same time, I've heard a lot of smart people say, maybe you can get a late first-round pick for Nick Foles. Maybe it's a 2. I don't know. I have no idea what his value is. And if it's only a 3 or a 4, no way. I'm not trading Nick Foles. I'm not giving him away for nothing. But if someone comes and offers a high 2, let's say the Cleveland Browns, who have, the top pick of the second round, or the Jets, who have, I believe, the 6th pick of the second round, because they have the 6th pick of the first round, a top 10 second round pick, yeah, I'd consider it. First round pick seems like a no-brainer for your backup quarterback. Plus, you get to add more good young players. Think about Derek Barnett. Imagine adding another Derek Barnett, who was a first-round pick. Imagine adding a player of a Zach Ertz caliber, who was a second-round pick. You can get stars in the first and second round. And there is a chance, and we don't know it, and I don't know what Carson Wentz's health is going to be. And that's obviously going to play a huge role here. That's why I think the Eagles will delay this. They'll wait to see how Carson's knee continues to respond this offseason. They're not going to do anything tomorrow. They're not going to do anything when free agency opens at the beginning of March. They're going to wait. And I would even wait and pay the guy, Nick Foles, his $3 million bonus or whatever, on March 18th. Because you wait, and then you figure it out. But when the draft comes, if Carson is looking like he's on path to be ready, yeah, I consider trading Nick Foles. Because he's never going to have a higher value than he does right now, ever. And there is a chance that he's not needed next year at all. And then he's a free agent, and then he walks, and you got nothing for him. So the idea of trading Nick Foles, is it complicated? Absolutely. Do I want to just give him away? No. And I won't give him away. But if someone comes and knocks on the door or rings the phone for Howie Roseman and says, hey, Howie, we like Nick. We think he'd be happy here. We'll give you a first or second round pick. You better believe I'm listening from Howie Roseman. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T and Verizon wireless cell phones. Nick Foles, real talk. He's loved here. He'll be loved forever. But the reality of the situation is he's the Eagles' backup quarterback, and they're going to have other needs this offseason. And if something is out there to help make the Eagles better for the next 2, 3, 4 years in form of a draft pick, I have to listen. I have to listen to that question. D is in Northeast Philly, starting us off tonight. What's up, D?
What's going on?
How you doing, bud?
First of all, they should move the Rocky statue and put Nick Foles statue there. He's forever sketched in stone in the city of Philadelphia. I mean, seriously. What he did, I'm serious. No other quarterback, I don't think, would have did what he did. Coming into the postseason and taking us all the way and played the way he played. Now, the thing with Foles is this. Okay, we trade Foles. Who are we going to get as the number 2?
Who's going to be the back? Who will be the backup quarterback? Well, they'd have to find another one. It could be Nate Sudfeld, D, or they could have to go out in free agency and add another backup quarterback. I don't know, a Josh McCown, that type of player.
But I'm just saying, though, he has 1 year left on his contract. I feel as though we should keep him.
Even if they get a good offer?
We should keep him.
All right. Look, I think a lot of people out there feel the same way because they like him. You said the statue thing. That makes a lot of sense. And he's going to be an icon here for a long time. D, we appreciate it. But I can't keep a guy just because I like him. The Eagles have a lot of holes to fill. We don't talk about this because we don't want to. We don't want to say the Super Bowl team has some offseason issues. And look, trusting Howie makes sense. Howie Roseman will find a way to restructure money. He will move things around. He'll do a good job. I'm not even worried about the money aspect of Foles or the cap or, Jason Peters' money or being over the cap. What I'm worried about is just replenishing the roster if they lose guys. The best way to keep this train moving is to keep adding young talent. And if no one rings the phone and no one says, hey, Howie, first or second round pick, I am more than fine on keeping Nick Foles for a year as a great insurance policy because I don't think trading him is worth getting just a third round pick back. But if you get a pick that could become a star player, I don't know how you hang up the phone. I don't know how you say, nah, I'm good. I'll keep a backup quarterback for 1 year, then he's leaving anyway. Nick is in Philly. What's up, Nick?
Hey, what's up, man? Listen, I don't want to get rid of him, but I totally get what you're saying. Plus, I trust our front office to make the right decisions. Like, I mean, I'm still all excited. I still can't come down off of this win. I mean, I've waited 31 years for it, and I wish my grandmother was here to see it with me. But, I mean, like you said, I don't want to get rid of him, but I definitely trust the front office to make the right decision. If somebody calls up with a really, really good, trade, I'd have to take it.
Yeah, I think that's the way it is, Nick. And I do too. I think that the entire city at this point should trust this front office because how he's shown us over the last couple of years, Nick, since he came back into power, he knows what he's doing. I trust him. If he thinks they can get by without Nick, he's probably right. And he thinks that, look, I don't know about Carson. I don't know about his health. We need Nick. Then I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, no doubt. I definitely agree. And, man, congratulations, Philly.
The whole city deserves it, Nick. I mean, look, that's been the past week. The congratulations to the city. And good. We should keep patting ourselves on the back because that was a hell of a parade. It's been a hell of a week in Philadelphia. It feels weird having the offseason talk, doesn't it? It's like you just want to stay in they won the Super Bowl mode. And I actually tweeted it last night. The Eagles won the Super Bowl last week. Or the Eagles are Super Bowl champions. And we're still excited about that. But the idea of everything else this offseason hinges on Foles. I really believe that. Whatever they do with Foles and whatever the plan is with Foles could dictate everything else. Cap room, draft picks. Remember, the Eagles don't have a second or third round pick in this draft. The third round pick went for Ronald Darby, and the second round pick went in the Carson Wentz deal because they staggered those picks that were going back to Cleveland. So it's a long time to draft between the first and the fourth round. And if the Eagles want to continue to replenish and add young players, especially if they have to lose a Patrick Robinson, if they have to lose a Nigel Bradham, guys like that, well, where are those young players coming from? And eventually, Carson Wentz going to have to get paid. I think there was only a year left on Nelson Aguilar's deal. Eventually, Nelson Aguilar might have to get paid. So all the guys that we're loving and watch now are going to need contracts eventually. The insurance policy that is Nick Foles is incredible. And if you don't know about Carson or you're worried about Carson, then I totally understand keeping him and try to win one more next year with the 2-quarterback tandem and whatever you have to use, you use. But if they feel good about Carson and a good offer comes in, I can't say no. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T and Verizon wireless cell phones. We'll come back, take all your phone calls on this Foles stuff. I'm going to tell you how we're going to give away these tickets. So we have a pair of tickets. Here's what we have for tomorrow. Pair of tickets, Flyers, Devils, tomorrow night. Watching one of the hottest teams on the ice right now at the Wells Fargo Center, of course. Flyers, the action just heating up. Great seats coming up for all the games against the Devils, Canadians, Blue Jackets, and more. Starting as low as $39. We'll get you in for free. We got a pair tomorrow night. Flyers.com for more details. We will tell you how, and it will involve Jason Kelce's speech. So get the wheels turning in your head. We'll talk Foles, Kelce's speech, and how it pertains to getting these tickets. That's all coming up on Sports Radio 94 WIP. 622 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP, talking a little Nick Foles and really the conversation that we knew we were going to have, but I'm not sure if we were quite ready. Last week was like just a hangover for the whole week. This week you wake up and it's the offseason. And I think the Nick Foles conversation is going to be a big part of football talk in this town until the Eagles make a decision really one way or the other. I would consider anything that brings back a first or second round pick. Beyond that, no, I'm keeping Nick Foles. But I have to consider it, and I think the Eagles will too. 888-729-9494. We'll do a little process pregame show before Sixers-Knicks coming up later in the hour. Right now, though, we have to tell you how you can get involved for a giveaway, and it's a good one. So tomorrow night, the Devils will come on into town to take on the Flyers. Flyers are one of the hottest teams in the division, really the NHL. I saw a graphic last night, I think it was, where they have the best record in the division since sometime in December. Really, since they had that rough patch, the Flyers have been really good. We know Jackie Puck's behind the glass is all in on the Flyers, and they're playing really well. So this is a game you're going to want to be at. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m., Wells Fargo Center, Flyers Devils. Here is how you can win those tickets. When you call in tonight, you have to give us your best impersonation version, we'll use those two words, of the Jason Kelce speech. And what we mean by this is twofold. Give us your version of the Jason Kelce speech for a Philadelphia sports team, past or present. So, for example, if you want to call in about the '08 Phillies, as if you were up there on the stand or the podium screaming about the '08 Phillies the way Kelce did about the 2017 Eagles, you would talk about how Ryan Howard strikes out too much. Or Jimmy Rollins pops the ball up too much, whatever you want to use. You got to get creative with it. So Jack's going to go first. He's going to give a little example. This is what we're looking for tonight. Jack, which team are you using?
Well, I'm preemptive here. So this is going to be the 2019 Sixers parade.
2019, which is next summer.
Okay, so the 2020 Sixers parade.
All right, whatever it is. The eventual Sixers parade.
Yeah, and again, when you call in, just please keep it clean.
Yes.
We don't need the dump button getting hot here. But this is just an example of what we're looking for. So, I got my Mummer's outfit on.
He actually does. Jack is actually wearing a Mummer's outfit.
Yeah, I haven't taken it off. Embiid can't stay healthy. Dario will never come over. Hinkie's running a Ponzi scheme. Simmons is a bust. TJ is an NBA player. Covington can't play. Brett Brown can't coach. It's the whole team.
Does everyone have to end it with "it's the whole team"?
Yes, that's part of the qualification. Right. You have to end it with "it's the whole team."
All right, you do your version of a Kelce rant. End it with "it's the whole team."
And the guy giving that speech is obviously TJ McConnell.
Has to be. Well, he's the Kelce.
Yes.
It's too small.
He's too small.
You know, he's playing really well.
He was the last invite to the NBA Combine.
Yes, he was. And look at him now. Look at TJ McConnell now, future NBA champion here with the Sixers. All right, that is how you get involved. 888-729-9494. Call in. We'll talk Foles, whatever we got going on, whatever's on your mind. And then if you want a chance at the Flyers tickets, give us your Jason Kelce rant. Could be a present or past Philadelphia sports team. What would the speech sound like? End it with "it's the whole team." And we'll have some fun with that tonight. Let's talk to Stu, who's up next tonight on WIP. Hey, Stu.
Hey, what's happening, buddy?
How you doing?
I'm here. Every day's a holiday.
I feel that. We're both here. We're live. We're talking. What's up?
So, of course, we all have our opinions, but my opinion is you can't trade. The reason why I say that is because you can't trade him until you know that Carson can play in a game situation. Rehab going well, that's all well and good. Okay, yeah. But nothing's going to imitate a game situation until he gets in a game.
So you want to wait until never or the summer? Like, when would you feel comfortable if he's good to go for the preseason? Because we remember a couple of years ago, Stu, the Vikings lost their quarterback. The Eagles sent Sam Bradford over for a first-round pick. Would you be okay with that kind of thing if Wentz looked himself in the summer?
What he did in the playoffs is one thing, and I will tell you that I've always been a Nick Foles fan when he was back here way back when and now. I don't know if he can imitate that for an entire season. But at the risk of Carson not being 100% ready until midseason or later or not, I just think that the improbable is that you have to keep him and play the game for next year and see what happens.
Yeah, and I understand that because I think they're good enough, and they're going to be good enough, Stu, to go win it again next year. And I don't want to punt, 3 or 4 games if Wentz has to miss those to start the season. We all feel good if Foles is going to be out there. That's the rub here. And Stu, I appreciate it, man. That's the rub. That's the hard part. Jack, where are you on this? Where are you on Foles? I know you're passionate about it. Because what Stu just said there, that's the real point of the opposite of this, that you don't know about Carson Wentz and you don't want to punt games early next season with some other guy at quarterback. Nick Foles could play in Doug's scheme and he could do well. And I bet if he played the first month, they're not going to go worse than 2-2 most likely, maybe 3-1 depending on who they're going to play.
I'm good with punting the first month.
Good on punting?
Yeah, I don't care. Listen, here's the thing, is that Carson Wentz is the future quarterback of this team forever and always.
And that's not changing regardless of what they do with Nick.
Everyone has this fear, like, if he comes back and he's, hurt, starts off slow, it takes him a while to come back. But what if he comes back and he's perfectly healthy? Then you're stuck with Nick Foles, who, after next offseason, or after next season, You're not going to pay for him to come back here because he should want to leave and go start and get that last really big payday, and the Eagles can't afford it. So, if they don't trade him before March 16th, it becomes a $7 million hit against their cap this year, which they're already $10 million over the cap. I think it's an absolute, listen, I appreciate what Nick Foles did here, but we have to take emotion out of this. Emotion is dead.
But you're asking, you can't. At the same time, I agree with you, but at the same time, we're talking about the quarterback, a week removed from bringing the first Lombardi here. I think it's hard for everyone out there talking to us right now and with us on the show to take emotion out of Nick Foles.
But you have to think. I've always been a longest view in the room guy. You cannot look at what
Hinkie is what they call him.
Jackie Hinkie, Jackie Pucks, whatever you need. But it's about having the longest view in the room, and keeping him here for 4 games maybe is not a smart idea. It's not smart to bring him back next year. You need to move him and get a highest. You might be able to get a late first-round pick for him, or package your first-round pick in Foles to get up higher in the draft and get a legit star player.
I do wonder what the calculus is for the Eagles. Like, I'm not punting on the first 4 games of next year.
For a third-round pick.
Because I think they can repeat next year, and if they go 1-3, it's going to be really hard to get out of that hole. Am I punting potentially, maybe if Carson can't go, on the first 4 games for a first-round pick? Yeah, I am. I'm with you on. It's all about the return. Everything here is about the return.
And I think they can get a second-round pick for him. They should be able to get a second-round pick for him, especially with Howie given his track record.
And I think when all these other quarterbacks' dominoes start to fall, Nick is going to look really affordable. Like Kirk Cousins, who I like. I'm one of the few Kirk Cousins supporters out there. He's going to get $30 million a year. So Nick Foles at 7 for 1 year, and then you probably re-sign him. Looks like a bargain.
And plus, if you're like a team like the Arizona Cardinals, I think they are more of a win-now team. So drafting Baker Mayfield at 15, I don't think makes as much sense when you have Larry Fitzgerald, David Johnson, a defense that's ready to win now. Go get Nick Foles, give up the 15th pick, get the 32nd pick. Eagles get up to 15 and put you in Roquan Smith territory.
Yeah, no, it's a real debate. And Howie Roseman, I imagine, because this is his track record, he will use the longest view. But at the same time, it's tough to take that emotion out. Nick Foles just brought the Lombardi here. Let's talk to Mike on the cell. What's up, Mike?
Hey, how are you?
Good, buddy.
So much to talk about. The first thing I just want to say real quick is that, the whole season I was just waiting for them to just, let me down like they did since Jaworski and Berge. I was just waiting for it. So I didn't enjoy it as much. When they won it, I was so stunned that I didn't believe it. Then we all jumped for joy and tears and everything else. And I think everybody should watch this game on that FX sound.
Oh, it's so good, Mike. I watched it a couple times. It's really good.
That brought a tear in my eye. But listen, guys, you cannot move Foles. I would move Foles if Cleveland gives me number 4 pick. That's it. First of all, Wentz, he is, just when he got hurt, it was my birthday. We're watching the game. The guy says, you know what? That Wentz is a tree trunk. I said, listen, he's a tree trunk, but he's just so nuts. He's reckless. This guy, the way he plays, I don't care who it is, RG3, anybody, you run around like that, you're reckless. So I just can't risk it. And then again, we don't know if he's going to be ready. And I just think we can get him for a good number as far as Foles. And I really think that he'll never be in this position again. He goes anywhere else, he's going to tarnish this legacy. He could carry a clipboard for 3 years and be a legend, never pay for a drink in his life. I wouldn't do it. There are a lot of guys that can redo their contracts. When you look at these big boys, Jason Peters, Selleck, all these guys, I would re-sign them for a lower amount. But guys, great show. Thank you so much. Great listening to this.
Appreciate it, Mike. Good call there. Here's the thing. We saw what happened to Jason Peters last year. They better not go ask him to take a pay cut again because they asked him to take a pay cut last year. He had to put more years on his contract and more money. So I'm not sure if that's the way to go about making cap from here. As far as Foles, his legacy and all that, here's what I have to say. Nick Foles' legacy is intact forever in Philadelphia. It doesn't matter if he goes to the Browns or the Cardinals and starts for a few years. I don't think it matters. What he did here will last forever. And if the Eagles trade him and get something back for him, that's not going to change his legacy here in Philadelphia. There's no way. He's a legend here. Nick Foles has had such an odd career. So high highs and such low lows. But in Philadelphia, he's loved, and that doesn't change. So I don't think Foles is... Look, a lot of this also has to do with Nick Foles and his preference. If he says, I really don't want to go, I don't think they're going to force him out. But, now, look, our last caller said the 4th overall pick. Jack, we're taking a show road trip. If the Cleveland Browns offer the 4th overall pick, we're headed to Cleveland.
Well, first, before we head to Cleveland...
With Nick, we're taking...
No, we're going to pick up Nick, and then we're driving into Cleveland with us. Honestly...
Off-road ride or a fun one?
If they get a top 5 pick for Foles, I will personally buy a private jet. Straight to Cleveland.
I'll tell you what. So speaking of statues, Howie Roseman gets one if they get a top 5
I mean,
pick.
he's already getting a statue.
He probably.
What does a Howie Roseman statue look like?
Well, it's smallish. It's not as big as typical football statues, but you know what?
Oh, he's not a football guy, so.
Well, that's not true, Jack. They won the Super Bowl, so now and forever he is a football guy. Let's grab Justin in Medford. What's up, Justin?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?
Doing well, man. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I think that I don't even think he really wants to go anywhere, man. He feels like this was his destiny to be back on the Eagles, and I think he wants to stay with us, and I think we should keep him. You know, you never know what Carson's going to do when he first comes back. I think he's going to be fine, but, you know, you might need to ease him in there, and I think that giving Foles the opportunity to stay would be is a good idea.
Well, if they really don't believe Justin or they're worried about Carson Wentz playing early in the season, then it's going to take something. It's going to take something ridiculous to get him, to get them to trade Foles because they're going to need that insurance. And I don't know. I mean, none of us know the answer to what you're saying in terms of what Foles wants. I could see both sides of it. Maybe he thinks this is his second shot to be a starter, or maybe you're right, Justin. Maybe Nick Foles is the kind of guy who's just content being a backup and he lived his best football life and he's cool now.
He just really seems like that to me. He seems like he's really ready to he was ready to give it up, right? I mean, now
yeah.
He won Lombardi Trophy. He brought it to Philly. He probably never in his wildest dreams when he was out camping thought that was going to happen. And, maybe he wants to just end his career here. Who knows?
Maybe he does. And I don't believe Nick is the kind of player that's motivated by the biggest dollar. Now, every player wants money. Every person wants money. But I don't think that is the number one thing driving him.
It is the last contract, though.
It is. It's his last shot. I mean, if I'm his agent, I'm saying, hey, Nick, we got to get to Arizona, or we got to get to Minnesota or Buffalo, try to get some starter money. But we'll see. This is going to be a fascinating debate for a while now. Jeff, do you have a Kelsey speech for us?
Yeah, I got one. I'm ready.
All right.
Ready?
Well, we're ready. Let's hear it.
All right, it's 04 Phillies.
Okay.
Dad can't stop throwing up. Brian Westbrook's too small. Terrell Owens is a head case. Freddie Mitchell needs a new belt. It's the whole team.
That's good, Justin. I like that. The 04 Eagles. I like the new belt one. Justin, we will get you in the running for the tickets to the Flyers and the Devils tomorrow night. All right, bud?
Thanks.
There he goes. So there it is. That's what we're looking for tonight. You pick a Philly sports team, past or present, and you make the Jason Kelsey speech for that team. 888-729-9494. Pair of Flyers, Devils tickets at stake for tomorrow night. We'll come back on your phone calls and a little process pregame as the Sixers, the red-hot Sixers, get set for a home date against the New York Knicks, and a brand new guard is in town. No, it's not Markelle Fultz, and we'll talk about this story today by Kyle Neubeck. It's not Jack's guy, Markelle. It's another guard, a veteran. We'll tell you who. He's arrived officially and how he'll fit into the Sixers tonight and as we go down the stretch. That's coming up next. Sports Radio 94 WIP. This is the Process pregame show. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Joe Giglio getting you set for the Sixers and the Knicks tonight, which would have been a more interesting game in terms of the matchup if Kristaps Porzingis, the star Nick, who could have been a Philadelphia 76er a few years ago instead of Joe Okafor. If he was on the court, he's not torn ACL, and the Knicks aren't a very good team. But you know what? The Sixers are playing like a very good team. They have an addition, which he may or may not play tonight. We'll talk about that in a second. We're getting the starting lineups. John Johnson's going to call in, our Sixers insider from down at the Wells Fargo Center. Of course, this brought to you by PGW, safely delivering the natural gas to Philadelphia's homes and businesses depend on. Visit WeWorkForPhilly.com for more information on PGW. So the Sixers come into tonight, 28-25. They have won 3 in a row, 6 out of 10. They're playing well. They're 16-10 at home. They've become a really, really good home team. And think about this. They've had a couple really bad losses at home early in the season. So if you take those out, the Sixers are playing really, really, winning 66% of their home games, take away a couple stinkers in December. They've played really well at home. They'll be home tonight for this Knicks team. 28-25 Sixers coming in to take on the 23-34 New York Knicks, who have lost 6 games in a row now. They're not a very good team. They're 7-23 away from Madison Square Garden. The Knicks at home, especially when they had Porzingis, pretty good at home, 16-11. Very similar to the Sixers at home. Young teams typically struggle to win on the road. The Sixers have been, I'd say, about what you hope for, close-ish to 500. They're 12-15 on the road, much better here. But the Knicks are a complete tire fire away from Madison Square Garden, 7-23. So you have a good Sixers home team, and you have a bad Knicks road team, and that was mostly with Kristaps Porzingis. That was an unfortunate injury for him. a couple weeks ago. So no Porzingis tonight. We'll get the full starting lineups here in a few minutes, get you set for the game. Tip around 7 o'clock. We'll do a process post-game show after the game. Here's the thing about tonight. A couple things that just are big picture Sixers talking points from over the weekend. And you want to start with the good? Let's start with the good. Marco Bellinelli. Just heard a little sound from Bellinelli there in Rob's latest update. He chose the Sixers. He was bought out by the Atlanta Hawks. He's a good shooter, Jack. He will help their bench.
He trusts the process,
I
so
saw that.
watch out. No, Bellinelli's a good, smart addition and someone that they actually really needed.
He's a good vet. He's a good, pretty good shooter. Always been a good three-point shooter. He's played with the Spurs before. Like, he's played in winning environments before.
Bad shot selection sometimes.
Yes. But it gives them more shooting when J.J. Redick goes to the bench.
Right. And he'll probably take minutes from TLC, which I think TLC is a fine prospect, but trusting him in a playoff run is a little much right now.
Yeah, no, and he has weird spouts where he plays well for a couple games, and then he disappears for a while. So I can understand wanting the veteran. That's the good. So I saw tonight, and we'll talk to John in a few minutes about this, that they signed Bellinelli. The paperwork is done, but I'm not sure, and they're not sure if they're going to play him tonight. He's eligible to play in this game. He'll be on the bench. Brett Brown alluded to the idea that probably not, and he joked about the idea that when they used to sign guys a couple years ago, it was literally shake their hand and put them in the game. They're not quite at that level anymore. They're a little more stable in terms of their roster, so you probably won't see Bellinelli tonight. Now, that's the good. The bad, and I know Jack doesn't want to talk about this because he's on Team Markel, is today's story. Came out Philly Voice. Kyle Neubeck did a great job. It's a lengthy, really just look into what the heck's been going on with Markel Fultz. And tomorrow night, Kyle will be here along with Derek Bodner for the beat at 9 o'clock with us, and we will get into this fully. But it was a breakdown on really what's been happening here with Markel Fultz. And it detailed a lot of what he has done, what he hasn't done, what has been said, a timeline, the fact that last month he was working with Keith Williams, a trainer the Sixers really didn't want him working with anymore, and that was the guy who was on Carl and Reese back in the day and talked about his injury. And look, the whole thing is just screwy from the start in terms of what his injury is, how much it affected his shot, now what's going on, and the fact that he is healthy. Markel Fultz is healthy right now, or at least enough. He's healthy enough that he's out there practicing and he's getting ready. But I'll give you my Bellinelli take here. Marco Bellinelli wouldn't be a Sixer if Markel Fultz was coming back. I don't believe he's playing this year. And the Sixers have a lot of experience in this. If any team can let a prospect sit for a full year, overcome it, come back and play well, it's the Sixers. We've seen this literally a bunch of times. Nerlens Noel and Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons. But this is different, and this is the worst one of them all because this is in his head. This is not, a broken foot is a broken foot. A torn ACL is a torn ACL. A foot issue is a foot issue. This is a different story. The Fultz issue gets stranger and stranger. Last week, for the first time, Colangelo acknowledged the idea that, you know what? Maybe he won't play this year. Who knows? And I'm looking at the standings right now. They've played 51 basketball games. 53, excuse me. 28 and 25 is 53. There's less than 30 games left in this regular season. Over under on how many games Markel plays the rest of the year? I'm going to set it at a half, and I'm taking the under. Let's go to John Johnson, who's down at the Wells Fargo Center, checking in with us. John, how you doing tonight, bud?
What's up, Joe?
Marco Bellinelli's what's up, huh?
Yeah, it's nice. I mean, and, I just heard the tail end of what you were saying about Markel Fultz. I think the acquisition of Bellinelli kind of seals the fate of Markel Fultz for the 2017-18 season. That's just my opinion. But if I were going to make a wager on your line of a half game, I'd take the under.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way about Bellinelli. He wouldn't be here, and I don't think he would have chosen to come here, John, if I'm sure he asked, I'm sure his agent asked, like, hey, is Fultz going to play? Is he going to come back? Because then you have a lot of guards, and maybe my guy's not going to get any time off your bench. So I don't know what they told him there, but I get the sense that he probably asked, his agent asked, and they had to be honest with him, like, yeah, we don't know, but he's not coming back tomorrow.
Right. And, and when Bellinelli was asked, about 20 minutes ago, had any other team shown interest or offered to sign you? And he mentioned Portland, Milwaukee, Toronto, Oklahoma City. So all playoff teams. So, I mean, you would have to think he's going to come here if he knows he's going to get considerable playing time, especially at that two guard. And they definitely need that help off the bench. They need a shooter. There's no doubt. And they, whenever Redick's on the floor, they have a lack of shooting. So now they have a solid veteran backup that could hit some shots in for J.J. Redick. We're talking to John Johnson, our Sixers insider down there at the arena. Sixers Knicks tonight.
7 o'clock tip as the Sixers, John, they're playing well. 28-25. They keep winning. Embiid starting to play back-to-backs. Just got the award there for the Eastern Conference Player of the Month. But there was a little issue Saturday night. What was your take on the way the Sixers handled Embiid Saturday night? He falls down, kind of grips at the knee, goes off the court, and they let him come back in the game. Scary moment.
Yeah, I'm very surprised they allowed him to come back in. And he had fallen in the third quarter, and when he tried to get up, his knee gave out on him. And obviously, he stayed in the game, and then shortly thereafter is when you saw that everybody panicked when he went, his right knee first, right under the hardwood, and sat there for a minute, got up, and then eventually went to the locker room and came back out. And to everybody's surprise, they let him back in. And when I say everybody, even Brett Brown was very surprised. He did not think he would be coming back into the game. And then we spoke to him afterwards in the locker room, and it wasn't iced, it wasn't wrapped. So, and then, after about 5 consecutive questions, are you sure your knee's all right? Is it swollen? Is it sore? He said, well, can we just move on? I'm fine. And then J.J. Redick said he's very overdramatic. He can have a career in Hollywood. So for now, I'll take them at their word. And he wasn't on the injury report this morning at shoot-around. So apparently, everything's fine. And that's a huge relief, for Sixers fans. And it's a great sign because tonight will be 3 games and 4 nights that he's playing in. So this is a huge step in his progress to play a full NBA season.
It's gigantic, and he's playing well. Here's the thing that worries me, though. Fatigue. We saw DeMarcus Cousins get hurt a couple weeks ago, and it was the most he's ever played, and the minutes were piling up. Fatigue's a real thing, and that's what I was looking at the other night with Embiid. Was he hurt? Probably not, but was he tired? Yes, that's what worries me. Clearly, he could play, John. He could play in back-to-backs. He could be good on back-to-back nights. I just worry about the fatigue and then getting hurt because of fatigue.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because that was a very question that I asked him about his knee after the game the other night. I said, did fatigue play a factor? And he said, absolutely it did, that he just had no legs and, playing in the back-to-back and it being the fourth quarter. So, yeah, especially with a guy like Embiid who, he's still we seem to forget how the limited amount of time that he's played organized basketball. And he still doesn't know his own body. And he has yet to play a full NBA season. So his body's still not fully built for the rigors of that. So it's going to get fatigued. And a guy who, despite his size, doesn't know his own limitations. I mean, he likes to play even like a point guard at times. So it's something that I think that's on the coaching staff to kind of rein him back in and say, all right, Joel, calm down a little bit. And maybe limit his minutes from time to time when he looks fatigued because he'll still put out 110% effort even when he is tired.
He will. John Johnson with us down at the arena. Sixers Knicks, top of the hour. John, last one for you. I know you're a big Dario Saric fan, and I've just been so impressed. He looked like he had no legs, speaking of fatigue, early in the season after all the basketball he played over the summer. He's just getting better and better. Again, just like last year, he got better and better as the year went on.
Yeah, I have never seen a guy, and I plan on talking to Brett Brown about this, who takes such a beating physically, night in and night out, yet he never, ever complains. And he gets right back up, and the rapport he's built with not just Joel, but especially T.J. McConnell, when they're on the floor together, I mean, their pairing, they do so well, and you'll see so much scoring, a lot of creations for scoring between the two of them. Dario's been such he is the most underrated player on this team.
He's been incredible, and he's helped carry them as they've had other guys out. John, enjoy the game. We'll catch up later.
All right, Joe.
There he goes. John Johnson down at the arena. Let's get you the starting lineup tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers, taking on the New York Knicks. Brought to you by PGW, safely delivering the natural gas that Philadelphia's homes and businesses depend on. Visit WeWorkForPhilly.com for more information on PGW. It is your typical Sixers starting lineup. Ben Simmons at the point, J.J. Redick at the 2, Rocco, Robert Covington at the 3, Dario, as we just talked about, at the 4, and Joel Embiid at the 5. And, of course, tonight taking on the New York Knicks, who have struggled with 6 losses in a row. They played yesterday and lost to the Indiana Pacers, so they could have some tired legs. That's who the Sixers are playing tonight. Brought to you by Premier Orthopedics, raising the bar in orthopedic care. We'll come back. All your phone calls. Let's talk Nick Foles, and let's start to have the conversation. I think the Eagles should consider any deal for Foles. Now, are they going to do it? We'll see. But I would consider anything that is a first, second round pick, and I think the Eagles have to do it, and we'll tell you how you can get involved for our Flyers-Devils tickets tomorrow night at the Wells Fargo Center. 888-729-9494, pound 9494. That is how you get aboard on Sports Radio 94 WIP. 7 o'clock straight up. Sports Radio 94, WIP. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Jack Fritz behind the glass. Rob Cherry, the updates. And you guys with us. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. 1 hour from now, Eliot Shorr-Parks, NJ.com will join the show. We got to ask them about the Eagles, how they're going to flush out this coaching issue they have now. We know Frank Reich took the Colts job, which I'm happy with Frank Reich. And I didn't even realize until I was reading a little bit about this stuff over the weekend when it looked like he was going to get the job. Frank Reich actually started his coaching career with the Colts and under Peyton Manning. So it's kind of cool. He gets to go back home, and I'm rooting for him. So Frank Reich takes the Colts job, leaving the Eagles' need for an offensive coordinator. And we know from last week, John DeFilippo took the Vikings' offensive coordinator job. So the Eagles needed an offensive coordinator and a quarterback's coach. Today, they promoted Press Taylor to quarterback coach, which means now an offensive coordinator. A lot of people think it's going to be Deuce Staley. We'll see. The Giants want him. Could it be Mike Groh? We'll talk to Eliot about that, Nick Foles, and all the offseason stuff coming up at 8 o'clock. So we started the show tonight with Foles. And just starting this conversation because it's going to be the biggest offseason story. And it doesn't have to be. The Eagles could shut this down. They could say Nick's our guy. But until they do anything like that, I don't expect them to anyway. Nick Foles, keep him, not, is going to be the talk. And my take is really simple. I am listening to any offer. If it's a third-round pick or worse, I'm going to say no because I value the depth at quarterback. I don't yet know about Carson Wentz, and I don't want to just give him away. But if a team offers a second or especially a first-round pick, you better believe I'm considering it. I think you have to sustain this and to potentially add a star player on a rookie deal. 888-729-9494. So we'll talk Foles, get your thoughts on that. And I want to make sure you guys know what we're doing tonight because we have a great prize tonight. Pair of tickets to the Flyers and the Devils. The red-hot Flyers. Who just keep winning, have the best record in the division the last couple of months. Looking more and more like a playoff team. Flyers-Devils tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Wells Fargo Center. It's the game you want to go to. So here's how you get involved. And we'll qualify, and the best one of the night's going to win this. Give us your best version of the Jason Kelce rant. So you take any Philly sports team, past or present. Jack gave us a little example before using the current Sixers. When they win a title, what people will have said and kind of the criticisms. Give us your best one for any team. So the first one we had tonight was the 04 Eagles, which is pretty good. I like that one. So you'll get in the mix, pick a team, past or present, Philadelphia sports, and you have to end it with, it's the whole team, just like Jason Kelce. Do that, we'll get you in the mix for our tickets. 888-729-9494. Let's talk to Eliot, who is in Northeast Philadelphia. What's up, Eliot?
How you feel, Joe? You excuse me, man. I'm a little bit under the weather.
That's all right. A lot of people are. I am too, Eliot. We're battling right now.
Oh, yeah, we definitely are. Nick Foles situation. He has the distinction of saying he brought the first Super Bowl to Philadelphia. He has the distinction that he wanted a couple of quarterbacks to beat Tom Brady heads up one-on-one in the Super Bowl. He has the distinction of saying that he played in one of the greatest Super Bowls ever played. But you have to do what's best for the team.
You're right, Eliot. I think that's the best way to put it, because everyone who doesn't want to trade Nick or move Nick away, it's like, well, what about Nick Foles and his legacy? But I love the way you put it. What's best for the team moving forward?
Exactly. And the thing is, in saying that, though, I don't think he's going to go nowhere. You know why?
Why?
Because he can't take Doug Peterson with him, and he can't take Chip Kelly playbook. So that really helped him play the way he did, because Peterson is an aggressive coach. He played to Foles' strengths, and I don't think he would flourish as well somewhere else.
That's a really interesting point, Eliot. I'll give you a couple places where maybe he could, and we were just talking about Eliot. I appreciate the phone call. Good stuff there. So I get that point. That if you're an opposing team, you're saying, well, who's the real Nick Foles? Doug's not coming with them. He's not calling these plays. Well, there is a chance, and I don't know, and you can make the same case, obviously, here for Carson Wentz. I have no idea what's happening with Andrew Luck's health in Indianapolis. And if I'm Frank Reich, and I'm unsure about Andrew Luck, yeah, I might want to bring Nick Foles along. And another example, how about the Minnesota Vikings? Now, the Vikings go in a million different directions. They could re-sign Bradford. They could re-sign Keenum. They could bring back Bridgewater to the starting role. They could go after Kirk Cousins. I have no idea who's going to be the Vikings quarterback. But we know their new play caller, the new offensive coordinator, is going to be John DeFilippo. So there are at least two teams out there that wouldn't have to worry about that. The Colts and the Vikings. They could say, well, we got one of his offensive coaches that they helped win the Super Bowl with. Like, those teams probably would be more than okay and feel like they get the best out of Nick Foles. You know, it is it's a fascinating debate because we've never really seen one like this. Let's talk to Dan, who is in Broomall. What's up, Dan?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. What's up?
Hey, I was thinking about the whole Nick Foles thing, and I really think that they ought to consider talking to the Buffalo Bills, who have Andy's pick at 19 and the Bills pick at 20, I believe. Maybe swap our 32nd pick for the 19th and 20 and Nick Foles.
Yeah, and I think the Bills are the type of team, Dan, that would like Foles because they are, I think, more of a win-now team, but they're not trying to go, like they're trying to build it the right way, but Foles could be maybe a bridge quarterback for them. And they got to the playoffs last
he's
year.
A cold weather quarterback.
Well, he didn't really play that well.
When?
Cold weather this year. He struggled in in the cold of Christmas night. Now, he did play well in the two playoff games. And obviously they were coldish temperatures outdoors, but it's a different kind of cold up in Buffalo. But I do think that Buffalo would be interested, Dan, because they got to the playoffs and they didn't have very much of the quarterback position.
Right.
And you give them a better quarterback, you know what? They might be able to make some noise. Dan, you got a Kelsey speech for us?
The only other thing was Bellinelli.
Okay.
Pick up because of Reddick being a starter now. Yeah, I have a Kelsey Ram.
All right, which team you going with?
I'm going with the 80 Phillies.
The 80 Phillies. All right, Dan, let's hear it, bud.
Okay. Larry Bowa couldn't make his high school team. Bob Boone had to live up to his father's name. Mike Schmidt never hit a home run that meant anything. Pete Rose left all his hustle in Cincinnati.
It's the whole
team. It's the whole team.
That's a good one, Dan. Dan, you're in the running for our tickets to the Flyers Devils tomorrow night. That was good. I like the Pete Rose part. He left all his hustle in Cincinnati, and Mike Schmidt knock. Never hit a home run that mattered, which isn't fair. But you know what? It was said. I like that one. Let's talk to Doug in Connecticut. What's up, Doug?
Thanks for taking my call. I think this is a really interesting topic. I'm really glad that we're having this discussion as the chance, and if it sits a little better, I think obviously you got to think, what does Foles want? He deserves that. I mean, maybe he doesn't get to say where he goes, but you have that conversation with him. It's tempting because we don't have that second and third round pick, but I mean, look what we did to get Carson Wentz. I mean, if Howie wants a second or a third round pick in this draft, he's going to find a way to get a second or a third round pick, even without trading Foles.
You're probably right. Yeah, I mean, look, I never doubt Howie when it comes to the offseason because every year it seems like we say, man, Howie's having a really good offseason. He seems to do this every year. So, people say they're $10 million over the cap. I'm sure he'll figure that out. I'm sure he'll add more draft picks. I'm just more on this is the highest Nick Foles' value will ever be, and there is a chance they won't need him at all next year. Carson could be healthy all year, and then it's just like he sits here and then he leaves next year, and you got nothing for him to help continue this thing.
Yeah, it would sit better with me if we kept him and saved him there. The value to our team at the beginning of the year is obviously might be pretty big, but if we were going to trade him, I could see us, him and a fourth-round pick. If we got a first-round pick in exchange for that, I think that would be okay with me to get, two studs, well, one on defense, maybe one on offense, and then, keep building this team.
Yeah, I think that would be too hard to pass up. And Doug, I always appreciate the phone call. Remember they used to talk about the trade value chart that teams used to use, and it's changed over the years. The fact that CBA has changed and salaries have changed. First-round picks are obviously more valuable because you have 5 years. All that stuff is different now. But I wonder if there is a math to this for the Eagles. And I know they can't be just cold and calculated about it because this is a championship team and Foles is a part of it. But I wonder if there is a math. Like, yeah, Nick, what if Carson misses the first month? Well, then how much is Nick valuable to us? Like 4 games of Nick Foles is worth what draft pick? Because we're not going to have a quarterback we could trust as much as Nick Foles for those 4 games. I don't know what the answer is.
I find it pretty crazy that the Vikings really gave up a first and a fourth for Sam Bradford.
It screwed the whole market for quarterback trades.
And it really, Alex Smith, they're about the same quarterback. I think Bradford.
I agree with that. I think
Smith's better.
I think Smith's better too.
He was just traded for a second-round pick, and they had to re-sign him to a massive contract. You're going to have to do the same thing with Foles. When they traded Bradford, he was already re-signed for another 3 years, so you knew you had that. That's what makes this interesting and difficult. If Alex Smith was traded for a second-round pick and then signed to a massive contract, now Foles won't be signed to as much of a massive contract as Alex Smith was.
Of course.
But that was a second-round pick and a $100 million contract. So I wonder if Foles is a second-round pick and then
$50 million,
and then around
3
there.
years, like a Mike Glennon deal, but a little bit more because he got like $345 and he was garbage last year. The hard part of this, I don't know how other teams view Nick Foles. That makes it more complicated. I know how we view Nick Foles now because look what he just did. And he has value here beyond his just his talent because we don't know about Carson Wentz. I have no idea how other teams view Nick Foles. If a team out there really believes the Nick Foles we saw in January and February can continue that, and he has a second act to his career, maybe a little bit like Kurt Warner. Now, Foles' best wasn't as good as Warner's best, but that kind of thing where he disappears, he comes back, and away he goes for the next 5 years. I don't know. If teams believe that, yeah, there's a chance. There is a chance that someone gives you something substantial for the guy. Let's talk to Mike out in Marlton. What's up, Mike?
Hi, how you doing?
Doing great, man. What's going on?
I got a little Nick Foles talk and then a Jason Kelsey speech.
All right, what you got on Foles?
All right, well, I think that we're probably going to get a second and third round pick for him. Considering I don't even think we have our second and third round pick.
They don't. No, they traded. The second was part of the Carson Wentz deal because they staggered them, and then the third was in the Ronald Darby trade. So they don't have a second or a third.
Like, I don't think it's worth that. But then again, like, I'm just a fan, and they don't care about our opinion, and they're just going to trade him for what they think is best.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that they recognize he's now a special athlete here because of what he was the quarterback for. But at the same time, they got to do what they think helps them win more Super Bowls, and that's what I want them to do. That's the whole thing.
Yeah,
if they think Nick Foles being traded, Mike, helps them become a championship team again next year and the year after that, then I'm going to be okay with it. It's all about that. Totally. It's all about what they think. Mike, you got a Kelsey speech for us?
Yeah, I do, on the 2013 Philadelphia Eagles.
2013 Eagles. All right, Mike, let's hear it.
Chip Kelly thinks that he can come in with his Oregon offense and thinks that we can do quick things in the NFL. Absolutely not. Sam Bradford can't throw the ball. DeMarco Murray can't run for more than a yard. Nelson Aguilar and Jordan Matthews can't catch the ball for their lives. And then you got Matthews as a running back who can't even go the distance without fumbling the ball. And then our corners are getting burnt by, like, Pop Warner kids. It's the whole team.
It's the whole team, Mike. We appreciate it. But you know what? I think if he said the 2015 Eagles, Jack, that might have been a little better. He said 2013. I think he meant 2015.
Yeah, whatever. wasn't great
We have a high bar here. We have a high bar.
Yeah.
A lot of that stuff was true, though. The 2015 Eagles, a lot of that stuff was really true about that team. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. And yes, if you just popped in the car, like, why is that guy screaming about the 2015 Eagles? Well, we have Flyers Devils tickets to give away for tomorrow night. The way we're doing it, you get in the running by giving us your version of a Jason Kelsey speech. Pick any Philadelphia team, past or present, or future. As Jack picked the 2020 Sixers when they win a title.
Is it preemptive?
Preemptive, yeah. And what would the speech sound like? And you got to end it with, it's the whole team. That's my favorite part about doing this. We just get to hear that over and over and over again tonight. It's the whole team. Let's talk to Tom down in Delco. What's up, Tom?
Yo, how you doing, Joe?
Good, buddy. What's on your mind?
So I agree with your point that Nick Foles is a guy who likes familiarity. When he wanted to retire, he said he was only going to play for Reed. He's proven that he's better in temperate weather. So I'm thinking what you're thinking, that we could see a reunion either with Minnesota or in Indianapolis with either DiFilippo or Reich. What do you think is more likely? Who do you think would be willing to give us more after we kind of burn Minnesota for Bradford?
Yeah, well, my first gut instinct is Minnesota, just because all their quarterbacks could be free agents and might all leave them. So they might be desperate, and DiFilippo's there, and I'm sure DiFilippo could be like, listen, I can get something out of him. We just did it in the playoffs, but like you said, they've been burnt. I'm not sure that GM wants to call Howie again and get burned again. I think the answer to your question, Tom, might be whatever the heck's going on with Andrew Luck. You know, if Frank Reich gets in there and they say, hey, Frank, I don't know again. We don't know about this guy. We don't know if his shoulder's going to be right. I could see Frank Reich saying, hey, can we go get Nick Foles? I think we can win some football games with him. That could be the way they go.
And I think so, too. And I heard earlier today, Marks and Reese, when Marks reached out to Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk, he said that a 2 and a 3, that's too good of a deal to pass up. What do you think on that?
That is probably too good to pass up. Yeah, I think that is one of those where I'd have to think about it, Tom, and I appreciate the phone call. I think a first-round pick is an absolute no-brainer. It just is. He has 1 year left on his contract, and you can't pay both these quarterbacks going forward. I don't think there's a scenario to pay both Carson and Nick as the years go on and field a competitive team. So it's for 1 year. 2 and a 3. I probably say yes, especially if it's more towards the top of the second round. If it's the back end of the second and third round, it's more like a 3 and a 4. I'm not sure. First round, though, that's just too much to give up. Too much to not take if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. We come back, all your Foles calls, if you want to give a Kelsey chant and get in the mix for our Flyers tickets. And we got to let you hear this. Lane Johnson is firmly in the heads of every one of Patriots Nation. Lane ripped the Pats, and then an ex-Patriots Super Bowl winner came back at him, and it's really a lame response. We'll let you hear what has been said and how Lane Johnson just keeps beating the Pats over and over and over again. All coming up. Sports Radio 94, WIP.
Oh, yeah. I get around. Still clown when
7:22 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94, WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. You heard Rob Cherry there in the updates. You guys with us. 888-729-9494. 8 o'clock, Eliot Shorr-Parks, NJ.com will join us. Talk about how the Eagles are going to shake out their coaching staff now, what to do with Nick Foles, and kind of still bask in the glow of covering the Eagles team that won the Super Bowl. So Eliot at 8. We'll do a little process post-game show later on. Your phone calls now on Nick Foles. As we start this conversation of what to do with him, I would absolutely consider any substantial offer for Nick Foles. I don't want to trade him away. And if it's a third and a fourth round pick, my answer is going to be no, because he's more valuable to the Eagles as their backup quarterback with uncertainty around Carson Wentz than he would be in that case. But if a team's ringing Howie Roseman's phone and saying, first round pick, early second round pick, I have to listen to that because that player could be the next Derek Barnett. That player could be the next Zach Ertz. That's too hard for me to pass up as this team tries to continue to win Super Bowls around Carson Wentz as the years go on. All right, before we get back to your phone calls, and remember, give us a Jason Kelsey speech for the Flyers tickets. Best one's going to win Flyers-Devils tomorrow night, 7 p.m. at the Wells Fargo Center. The Red Hot Flyers. Any Philadelphia sports team, past, present, or future, give us your version of what their Jason Kelsey speech would sound like. And at the end, you got to throw in, it's the whole team, like Jason Kelsey did. Before we go back to the lines, a little war of words starting. I like this. Lane Johnson is firmly in the heads of the Patriots. So it started last week. Lane Johnson was on Barstool Sports, the Part of My Take podcast. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Your favorite.
The PMT Boys.
The PMT Boys. He was on with them with Lane Johnson fits there. And he actually, I thought was an interesting take on the Patriots and maybe why some players don't enjoy the Patriot way. Here's Lane Johnson last week.
I just think the Patriot way is a fear-based organization. Obviously, do they win? Hell yes, they win. They won for a long time. Do I think people enjoy? Can say I had a lot of fun playing there. No, I don't.
Right.
That's just God honest truth. Are they successful? But when they go to interviews, they act like robots.
Right.
Hey, let's stop being a dickhead. We can be cordial for a little bit. Hey, you only get to do this job one time, so let's have fun while we're doing it.
I like that.
Not to be reckless, but hey, I would much rather have fun and win a Super Bowl than be miserable and win 5 Super Bowls. But hey,
maybe it's just because of Lane, but I do imagine every tough, badass white guy from Texas talks like Stone Cold Steve Austin because you know what, Lane Johnson does. Hell yeah. Just says hell yeah for no reason.
He definitely had to have talked to Chris Long and LeGarrette Blount.
Well, that's probably where it came from. And someone actually tweeted this at Chris Long. I noticed this. And he was upset, saying, I've never said anything but good things about the Patriots. Like, it wasn't me. But yeah, I think there is something to what you're saying, that he knows a couple guys who play for the Pats. So that's his take. And I think a lot of people probably agree with that the Patriots are robots and it's not very fun. They win, hell yeah. But it doesn't seem like they haven't as much fun as the Eagles had this year. So today, Teddy Bruschi, who I know now is well removed from being a Patriot, but he's a Patriot. He works for ESPN. He does his national analyst stuff. He's a Patriot. So he was on ESPN, I think the Will Cain show, and he responded to Lane Johnson with really, I thought, kind of a sad response. Here's Teddy Bruschi.
Tell you what, coming from a guy that's failed going back-to-back once and then succeeded going back-to-back once, it takes a lot more, fellas, than planned end zone celebrations, dog masks, and trick plays to go back-to-back. So if you think it's going to be all fun to win another championship next year, you got it all wrong. It takes serious men. It takes serious conversations. It takes serious practices, goal setting, all of that stuff. So he's going to see how hard it is.
Imagine thinking that the Eagles didn't work hard this year because they wore dog masks. Like, that is just a total lack of awareness of how the Eagles got to where they got to this year. Preparation, practice, good players, hard workers. Like, yeah, did they celebrate? Did they dance after they beat bad teams in the regular season? Yeah. They wear dog masks? Yes. But if you think that's why the Eagles won the Super Bowl, Teddy Bruschi, you're not paying attention. You're not doing your job. 888-729-9494. I don't think I heard from this guy all last week after the Super Bowl. Levi in Overbrook Park. Levi, how you doing?
Hey, Joe, how you doing?
Doing great, buddy. What's up?
You know what amazes me right now is how that we having this conversation about Nick Foles and I guess about Harry Roseman. Because if my memory serves me correctly, we started last year with no cap space, that we couldn't sign any players, and all of a sudden, Howie comes up with these moves that puts us in position to get Troy Smith, Alshon Jeffries, Jay Ajayi, Ronald Darby, all these guys. It just amazes me. 8 days after the Super Bowl, our first Super Bowl, that we're talking about how we're going to get rid of Nick Foles and that we needed the chance to do it. My thought is that Jerry Lloyd said he's trying to win multiple Super Bowls. Nick Foles is going nowhere. Carson Wentz is still rehabbing. We don't even got a date when he's going to even get back on the field. All of a sudden, we're under this illusion that Carson Wentz is going to step right back in there and be as good as he was before. I've seen it happen. Guys don't always come back from a double knee operation like he had.
No, you're right, Levi. You're right on that. They don't. I mean, we saw this. The same injury happened to RG3. Now, I thought they mishandled him, and I thought it was partially his fault because he wanted to push to come back too early. But yeah, there is no guarantee on Carson Wentz. But to go to your point, because you said how he worked his magic last year, yeah, well, there's a price to be paid. He traded away a third-round pick for Ronald Darby. He traded away the 2 this year to go get Carson Wentz. He traded away a 4 to get Ajayi. So it'd be nice to have those picks back, and Nick Foles might bring him back.
Well, let me say something to you again, Joe. Do you trust Harry Roseman or don't you?
Yeah, I do. I absolutely do.
No, wait. That's the question that you have to ask yourself. Because as far as I'm concerned, he's been cap magic since he got back in control of this team. So if you ask me, yes or no, do I trust Harry Roseman? Yes, I do trust that he can handle his cap.
Okay, and I think you should, Levi, and I appreciate it. I think everyone out there should. But this isn't just about the cap. That's only one part of it. If it's just about the cap, they're not trading away Nick Foles for cap room. They'll restructure deals. They might cut a guy like Jason Peters if they have to, because Vaitai showed he could play left tackle. Like, they'll find cap room. I'm sure of it. This is also about replenishing the roster and adding really good young players. You know, when Jet Fleury and Howie and Doug talk about making this the new norm, 3 years from now, Nick Foles probably not going to be here. The guy they pick in the second round this year could be a star. Zach Ertz was a second-round pick. Vinny Curry was a second-round pick. Michael Kendrick's second-round pick. You get big players in the second round. So, like, the idea of trading away Foles isn't just for cap room. It's to get players back. The picks become players. 888-729-9494. Sean is in Easton. What's up, Sean?
Hey, what's up, man? Good show.
Thanks, buddy. What's on your mind tonight?
Yeah, before I get to my Kelsey rant, but I wanted to talk about Foles. I agree with you. You have to get something, maybe a first or possibly a second, and just to hear it out. And because, like Levi said, this kid's not ready. Wentz is not ready, and a large part of his game and being successful on the field is his, ability to avoid the rush and scramble around. You cannot rush him. He is our franchise quarterback, and that's why, if you can't, like you said, if you can't get anything for Foles, anything good, then you got to keep him on board for like the first month or 2 months whenever, Carson is fully healed. You cannot mess with that kid.
Yeah, they can't rush him. I mean, I think we all agree on that. I think RG3 is the most serious example of you rush a guy back, same injury as Carson, and then, I think a lot of what happened to RG3 is also his own fault, but he was never the same physically.
No, and Shanahan kind of, pushed the envelope with him too and kind of ruined
it was
ruined
a whole
career.
mess down there.
Yeah. But I also have a rant if I could give it a Kelsey
all right.
rant.
What team are you going with?
I'm going with the 01 Sixers.
Ooh, I like that. The 2001 Sixers. All right, Sean, you're up with your Jason Kelsey rant.
All right. Iverson's a ball hog. Eric Snow can't run the point. Mutombo can't play defense. Lynch only plays defense. Aaron McKee can't shoot. Tyrone Hill's too ugly. Larry Brown can't coach this group of players. It's the whole team.
The whole team. Sean, you're in the running just because that Tyrone Hill jab you threw in there. That was funny. I like that. Sean,
Nice.
we'll get you in the mix, and we'll pick a winner at the end of the show. I like that. Tyrone Hill, who really wasn't the most pleasant guy to look at. Pretty decent player for a little while, but he wasn't exactly the looker, I would say, of that team. 888-729-9494. You know what? Let's talk to Mark in Hamilton, who's up next. What's up, Mark?
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing, bud?
I have to agree with a couple callers ahead of time. They said, you have to do what's right for the team, what's best for the team. But Foles did something that was spectacular for this team. I mean, I would think you would have to give him at least a say and say, what's your outlook? What do you think you should, what do you want to do? Maybe he opens the door for you and says, I understand this is Carson's team. Maybe I can do something, something somewhere else. That way you get a good offer for him. You don't have to be the bad guy. You just take it and let him go.
That's a good point. You get off the hook because everyone that's called tonight that says, no, we can't trade Foles. He's a hero here. Well, if he wants to go, I don't think people will be mad at him, Mark. I think people will say, all right, good for him. He brought us a Super Bowl. Now we want you to be happy. So I think that would probably be the best of both worlds.
But if he wants to stay and something good comes in, you got to tell him, look, we're not building just for one time. It's not a one-shot deal. So, we just can't pass up the offer. Thanks
right.
for everything.
And it's not like he's signed up for the next 4 years where you're like, all right, well, maybe he's just the backup always to Carson Wentz. At the end of next year, even if they kept him, they'd have to pay him. Other teams could offer more. You might lose him anyway in a year.
Right.
Mark, you got a speech for us? A Kelsey speech?
I got a 93 Phillies.
Oh, I was waiting for this one. I knew someone would say the 93 Phillies. All right, Mark, you're up. 93 Phillies.
Hope I don't let you down.
No,
All right.
you'll do a good job. All right, let's hear it.
You got it. Mickey doesn't have the range. Lenny's a burnout. Jackson worries too much about flexing. Williams can't go 1, 2, 3 in an inning. Dutch is too pretty behind the plate, and Crux is too damn fat. It's the whole team. It's the whole freaking team.
It's the whole team. I like Mark. That was good. We'll get you in the mixer. He delivered there. People are worried they're not going to do a good job. I've liked almost every one of these. It's a fun one. 888-729-9494. Let's talk to Alex in Sicklerville. He's ready. What's up, Alex?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
How you doing?
Listen, I don't think the only way I see us getting rid of Foles is if we, A, get a high first rounder or we get a high second rounder and we put a package together. The question is, who will be the package? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't know.
It would be difficult to get rid of any one of these players, but as we've been saying in the previous callers, it's for the better of the team. We can't keep all these players that we have. We can't. The injuries that come back online, somebody's got to go.
And this is the way it is for all these teams, Alex. Every team that wins has to deal with this, and the Eagles they're the next team to have to deal with this. Like Nigel Bradham, I don't want to lose that guy to keep a backup quarterback. I'd rather keep Nigel Bradham.
Yeah, true. But here's the thing. I don't think that Wentz is going to be ready by the beginning of the season. There is no way. That kind of injury takes 12 months to recover. He got hurt, week 12, 13?
Well, actually, I think it was week 14, maybe, yeah.
Week 14. There is no way on God's green earth this man's going to be ready to play. He isn't. And if he does, they're going to push it, which is what happened with RG3. They pushed him. He played hurt, and that was the end of his career.
It was. And look, he wasn't even in the NFL this year. And, Alex, we appreciate the phone call. I don't want them to push Carson Wentz. Now, I think the calculus of this has to be if they did trade away Nick Foles, they'd have to get another backup, unless they truly believe Nate Sudfeld is ready to play the way he played, in Week 17 as the backup here. I don't know. They like him. Clearly they like him. They kept him around the practice squad and then promoted him to the active roster when another team wanted to steal him away. So they like Sudfeld. I don't know. They might have to go get a veteran backup if they trade away Foles. There's a lot of moving parts here. I just am open to any phone call that comes into my phone from Howie Roseman. And I just think that's the way he should operate as the GM of this football team. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 in your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. We'll come back with your phone calls on Foles, a little bit of your Kelsey rants to get you in the mix for our Flyers Devils tickets tomorrow night. And when we get back, one of the NFL's rules experts thinks the Philly special, one of the most famous plays now. I see it on tattoos everywhere. I was on Facebook today. Guy I went to college with, his arm's just there. It's like his bicep. The Philly special is tattooed on there. It's everywhere. Well, one NFL rules expert thinks, maybe it shouldn't have counted. We'll talk about it. Let you know what he had to say. Coming up next on Sports Radio 90. 7:42 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. Rob Cherry in the updates. You guys with us. 888-729-9494. That is how you hop aboard. Talking Nick Foles and starting the conversation that, you know what, has to be had here at some point. And today felt like the first day of the offseason. Last week wasn't the start of the offseason. Last week was a week-long party, a hangover, because you know why? In case you guys haven't heard, the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. I love that we're replaying it. I just heard Rob say it. They're replaying it Sunday at 2 o'clock on WIP, the radio call of Super Bowl 52. It's real. It happened, and we'll keep talking about it and basking in it for a long time. For the Eagles, though, the offseason starts. It begins. I know the team is probably a little ahead because they didn't have to do this the whole way through, but at some point soon, the Eagles are going to have to think about what they do with Nick Foles. They are. And if they want to keep him, trade him, and how they approach this whole thing. They have cap issues. They always seem to, but how he figures it out. They also want to replenish talent. They don't have a second or third round pick in this draft. And they gave up a fourth for Jay Ajayi. And they had 2 fourths, I believe, so they still have a 4th round pick. But to build this team, to build this Super Bowl champion, they used a 2, a 3, and a 4. And they don't win this thing without Carson Wentz, Ronald Darby, Jay Ajayi. The next time they win, they might need the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round pick they gave away to turn into something. And you might be able to get those things back for Nick Foles. If a good offer approaches Howie Roseman, he has to consider it, and I would. Now, I'm not giving away for a 4th or a 5th and saying, take him. No, because I think his value here is much higher than that, especially with the uncertainty around Carson Wentz's knee. But I saw a poll this morning. So the Midday Show did a poll, and they asked, should the Eagles consider it? And it wasn't, should the Eagles trade Nick Foles? That wasn't the question. The question was simply, should the Eagles consider trading Nick Foles? And 51% of the midday audience today, with Joe and John, said, no, they shouldn't consider it. And I said, what? You have to consider it. That's Howie Roseman's job to consider it. And if he's doing his job, and I trust him to, I think he will too. 888-729-9494. Also, along with our Foles conversation, if you want tickets tomorrow night, we got a great pair to give away. Devils Flyers, the rivalry renewed tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Wells Fargo Center. Flyers action literally is heating up right now. They're playing really good hockey. They played well in Las Vegas over the weekend. That team had been great at home. I heard some Eagles chants at the Las Vegas game. Flyers doing well. Konechny's playing well. The Patriots playing well. The kids are playing well. Jackie Pucks, you want to talk a little hockey?
Is that the cue for Jackie Pucks?
Well, whenever we talk hockey, Jackie Pucks is here.
I mean, come on. The Flyers playing well. Travis Konechny is an absolute electric young super. Kid's 21 years old. I can't believe it.
He's really good. They have a bright future.
And you know what? I grew up hating the Devils, like more than the Penguins, because of the whole Scott Stevens thing. That was the first time I remember being like hating an opposing player.
It was a brutal hit.
It was ridiculous.
It was.
So it's always fun playing the Devils. And Marty Brodeur.
It is a fun rivalry. They really don't like each other.
It's Jersey, too. Who would ever be proud to be from Jersey?
I'm from New Jersey, Jack. You know what, though? People I know always got mad at me about this. I don't really have any New Jersey pride. Like, I'm from New Jersey. New Jersey's
You're from
fine.
Central Jersey, though.
Yes.
No one calls himself from Central Jersey. It's here from North Jersey or South Jersey.
But I literally am. If you look at the map and you put like a center, if you perfectly center a dot in the middle of New Jersey, that's literally where I live. So, yeah, I'm just from that middle area. I don't know. I don't really have any Jersey pride. Guess what I also don't do? Like the Devils. And the Scott Stevens hit was so bad. So tomorrow night, you get to be there. You could be there. And root on the Flyers against the Devils, 7 p.m. tomorrow night, Wells Fargo Center. Here's how you get involved. Give us your version of a J.C. Kelsey speech. Any Philadelphia sports team you could use, past, present, or future. Jack gave us an example of what it would sound like when the Sixers, this current Sixers team, wins a title. We also had a 93 Phillies and 01 Sixers. You pick a team, give us what the speech would have sounded like. We're having some fun with it. You have to end it with, it's the whole team, just like Jason Kelsey did. 888-729-9494. Let's talk to Brian, who is in Middletown. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, Joe, what's up, my brother?
How are you?
Oh, man, I'm just enjoying this ride, still enjoying the glow of that Super Bowl win. But I tell you what, this conversation is sort of reflects the motto, no good deed goes unpunished. Now, look, I understand we need to consider it. I mean, that's fine. I'm going to put my trust in Howie Roseman. To me, though, you have a quarterback who had one of the historic performances. He did something that no other quarterback has ever done for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we're willing to jettison him for a second or third round pick. Now, to me, that seems foolhardy because, again, I don't know about our Carson Wentz. I mean, you guys mentioned RG3. He could also be like Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck right now has a debilitating injury, and we don't know what his situation is going to be. So my thing is this. We're not going to rush Carson Wentz back. Foles is under contract for next season. That's all I'm concerned about is 2018, because they have a roster that can get back to the Super Bowl. And by the way, you know that it's important. You're going to have to win 12 or 13 games again in order to secure home field advantage, which is something Howie Roseman mentioned a year ago.
Sure did. You're right. You're right on that, Brian. But look, there's also the other side of the equation, and you're not wrong about the Luck stuff and the RG3. This happens. But also, Tom Brady came back. Tom Brady got hurt, came back, and he's been great ever since. So there's also a chance here that Carson is ready week 1, and he's Carson Wentz, and we never see Nick Foles in the field next year.
Well, you know what? If that's the case, so be it. Again, for what he did, and for the protection it provides us for next season. Because here's the thing. Suppose, look, we don't want to get into the whole quarterback controversy, but suppose this team falls short. You know, you don't get a playoff win next season with Carson Wentz, and he's kind of spotty. You know, look, I don't expect that. We all expect Wentz to be able to come back and, you know, pick up where he left off, but we don't know. So to me, I want to have that insurance policy where we can, you know, kind of reboot and make another run for this thing.
Yeah, I do, but I also do think, Brian, and I understand it. I really do. And I think the team might think the same way as you, Brent. I appreciate the call. But I'd also want the idea of adding a defensive end or a linebacker. Like, those picks aren't just picks. They become players. I don't want to just trade Nick Foles for picks 5 years from now. If I'm trading Nick Foles, it's picks in this draft. Derek Barnett contributed a big way to this year's team. You can find next year's Derek Barnett.
And you don't have a second and third round pick. You have so much cap. You're so tight against the cap. You're gonna need to find younger talent. Second and third round picks. I don't understand. Like, it's not the NBA where you're taking flyers on guys in the second round. Second round picks are very important. And like, everyone's like, oh, scared. Well, what if Wentz isn't the same player? What if he is the same player? Then you have Nick Foles riding on the bench, and he's going to leave for a starting job at the end of next season, you would think.
This is your only chance to do it. Right. Only chance. Now, there's a small chance a quarterback gets hurt in the summer the way Teddy Bridgewater did, and you have Foles, and it's like a ransom deal where you could hold a team up. But again, you don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know how you weigh a backup quarterback compared to a second or third round pick that could become a starter for you. And think about this. I think a lot of us are thinking about what Nick Foles did and next year. But there's also 2019 and 2020. And when we get to 2019, 2020, they're going to have to pay Carson Wentz. You see how much Jimmy Garoppolo just got? $137.5 million. He's played how many games? 10 in the NFL? Wait till Kirk Cousins gets paid. $30 million. So in a couple years, they're going to have to pay Carson Wentz, most likely, $32, $33 million a year. You know what's going to be hard to do? Fill out a roster. You know what would help? Hey, that kid we took in the second round in 2018, because the pick we got back from Nick Foles, he's a starter now for us on defense. We have to go pay a guy $8 million a year. This is how you keep winning. So I understand why you want to keep Nick, and you want to win next year. I think they can win it again next year, and that's my biggest pause. I don't want to punt next year for a pick, but I want this thing to be good for a while. And if it's good for a while, you're going to need those kids to be good on rookie deals. 888-729-9494. Robert is in Washington Township. Hey, Robert.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing well, bud. What's up?
Yeah, I got a Foles and I got a rant. So, you know, I've been around long enough to know Foles won us a championship, and I've seen some other great players. I know Wentz is a great player, but I've seen the Lindroses and the Iversons come along, no championship. So I think it's a tough call. If you want to go back this year, at least you can't move until you see what you got in Wentz. I mean, you know, we did move a guy late, get a pick for Bradford. We moved Bradford late once the season started, so I don't think there's not that possibility. We couldn't wait and see just to see how Wentz is. You know what I mean?
And I think that might be the way they go. They might be afraid of the Wentz thing in terms of his injury, and they might wait to see, look, how does he get through OTAs? Is he going to be ready for minicamp? All that kind of stuff before they do anything.
Agreed.
All right, you got a Kelsey for us?
Yeah, I got this year's Eagles organization. So here we go. I'm going to try to give it my best one. Hey, we're the Eagles. We're not the Rodney Dangerfields. They said Howie Roseman was Chip Kelly's lackey. They said Doug Peterson was a high school coach. They said Jeff Lurie bought the Eagles because he thought he was buying a bird sanctuary in Atlantic City. They said our cheerleaders are hot as the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. They sent our fans through beer cans and Minnesota fans at snowballs at Santa, and they say Snoop is weak because he can't fly. It's the whole freaking organization.
It's the whole team. Robert, we appreciate it. Get you on hold there. Here's the thing about that. So that was like a twist on Kelsey's because it was this year's Eagles. A little twist on the Jason Kelsey rant there. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T Verizon wireless cell phones. In the next hour, we have Eliot Shorr-Parks of NJ.com. We have all your phone calls. We'll get more of you qualified and in the running for our Flyers Devils tickets tomorrow night. And we're going to have to play for you Mike Pereira, who is the NFL Fox NFL expert on rules. Mike Pereira had an interesting take on the Philly special. You're not going to like it, but it is interesting because you know what? It doesn't matter what Mike Pereira says now because we know the Philly special, which, by the way, Peter King SI went and talked to Doug Peterson, went and talked to Frank Reich, went and talked to Mike Crow about the Philly special. Great piece at SI at Monday Morning Quarterback. It is a play we'll talk about for years. And Mike Pereira, the rules expert, he chimed in on. We'll let you know what Mike had to say, along with talking to you, all your phone calls, and Eliot Shorr-Parks of NJ.com. 888-729-9494, Sports Radio 94, WIP. 7:59 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. We have Rob Cherry in the updates tonight. You guys on the phone lines. 888-729-9494. What's up? Jackie Pucks, you all right back there? Jack Fritz having a tough time. No, he's all right. We're going to go out to the Schwartz-Carlton guest line here before we go back to all the phone calls on Nick Foles and, of course, our Jason Kelsey rants tonight. We got to bring on a guy I haven't talked to in a while here on WIP, but was there chronicling, covering the Eagles throughout this entire thing for NJ.com. Eliot Shorr-Parks joins us right now. How you doing, Eliot?
Good, man. Long time no talk to. Happy to be on.
Yeah, it has been a while. Yeah, since the last time we talked, the Eagles went out and won the Super Bowl with Nick Foles, which is definitely not something you and I would have predicted the last time we spoke about this team at Lent. Eliot, it feels like the offseason starts today. I know you started writing about that and doing your podcast, the No Huddle Show at NJ.com about all this. The last week was just kind of a blur, and it feels like today everyone wakes up and the Eagles have an offseason to tackle. What do you think are the biggest issues at hand now for them?
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like they win the Super Bowl and that should be it. It's like the offseason shouldn't even ever come. But, I mean, look, 2 weeks I'll be at the Combine, and then we have the owners' meetings and the draft. So the NFL calendar moves right along, and the Eagles have a lot of tough decisions to make. The thing about what Howie did is by signing up all these starters, their cap situation's not great. They're about $9 million over the cap, and they're going to have to clear about $13 million, $12 or $13 million just to sign their draft picks because of the $9 million they're already over. So they have a lot of tough decisions. I would say the toughest decision might be Jason Peters, and then obviously the Nick Foles thing, depending on what he wants. But look, repeating is going to be tough, and it's going to be even tougher when you look at some of these decisions they have to make with their free agents and their cap space.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And I've been saying the Peters thing is interesting because Vitae played so well. They proved they could move. They can move the ball. They could run an efficient and really great offense without Jason Peters. So that's a way to save some money. You mentioned the Nick Foles thing. We started to have the conversation tonight. Eliot, I would be open to the idea of trading him for the right offer. And I think most players, you should think like that. But if it's a first or a second round pick, I don't think I could say no. And a lot of callers have been saying, well, you don't know about Carson's health and you don't want to punt, let's say, the first month of the season if Carson Wentz is not ready to go. Where do you stand on the Foles dynamic as we move forward?
The Foles decision is one of the more interesting ones I can ever think of this franchise facing since I started to cover them, just because there's so many layers to it. There's the Wentz health. And one thing that I think maybe a lot of people are not bringing up that they should is this team really likes Nate Sudfeld, their third-string quarterback. So I think if they were to move on from Foles, they'd be confident in Sudfeld. From my perspective, I just don't think, to me, where I would start to really consider it is number 15 overall to the Cardinals, then I really would. But if we're talking a second-round pick, I don't know. Look, quarterback play is so important, and the Eagles now have a guy that has shown not only can step in and keep the season afloat, he can win you the Super Bowl. And I think he'd be perfectly content here. I don't think this is going to be an ugly locker room situation like it might have been with Bradford and Wentz. Everyone knows their role. Foles is getting paid. So, look, with any player outside of Wentz, there probably is a price that I would eventually move them for. But with Foles, it would really have to be like a top 15 pick. And even then, I'm not sure, but that's when I would start to consider it.
Eliot, I've never watched a player or talked about a player that I have less grasp on what the rest of the league thinks of him like Nick Foles.
Yeah.
I mean, I never was the biggest fan, but he put on an amazing show, and he might have a second act to his career now as a starting quarterback. I'm not going to rule that out, but I don't know. I mean, what's your guess? I heard Bill Polian on ESPN the other day say 2 first-round picks is where you have to start with, and I was like, what? But at the same time, who knows? Maybe a team out there says, the guy we saw in the playoffs, maybe we could make sure he is that. Maybe that's the Nick Foles moving forward. What do you think other teams would think of Nick Foles? Do you think they look at him like the guy that just won the Super Bowl or the guy that's up and down?
I don't think the other teams would think that highly of Nick Foles because even when he came off his 27-2 season, when you could argue, I mean, look, what he did in the Super Bowl and the NFC Championship was amazing, and to do it on that stage certainly helps his value. But it's still only 2 games. I mean, he was really bad at the end of the season and bad for the most part against Atlanta. But even back when he was 27-2, Nick Foles, his value wasn't really high. You had to give up a second-round pick just to kind of get rid of him. So I don't think his value around the league is very high. And honestly, even though I wouldn't give him up for maybe outside of a top 15 pick, I don't think if I'm another team, I'm giving up a first or second-round pick for him. I don't think I'm confident. If you're giving up that type of pick, you have to think he's going to be your guy for the next 4 or 5 years. And I just think he's better with the Eagles than he is other teams. And I don't think Foles will want to leave. So I think if I'm another team and I'm making that move, I don't put as much value on Foles as I think the Eagles will likely put on him.
Eliot Shorr-Parks of NJ.com joining us right now on the evening show. Eliot, the Eagles also have coaching vacancies they have to fill. They filled one today, so we know Frank Reich is the new Colts head coach. And we know that John DeFilippo is going to go run the show offensively with the Minnesota Vikings. So Press Taylor is going to be the new quarterbacks coach. What does this mean for offensive coordinator? I know a lot of people want Deuce Staley to stay. The Giants interested. What do you think? What do you hear?
So I think one name not a lot of people are talking about, but they should, is Mike Groh, the receiver coach. I don't think it's a coincidence that in this big MMQB story that came out this morning, it was a big picture right there of Doug, Frank Reich, and Groh. I think Groh is very well respected on the staff. I mean, Deuce has certainly put in his time, but I think Groh is probably viewed as a better positional coach than Deuce is. And so I would think maybe that would be the guy. Obviously, I think Deuce will have a chance. I think he'll be considered. But if I'm the Eagles, I think there's a lot of value in bringing in a guy from outside the organization. This isn't saying they need to overhaul their offense or anything like that, but I think every season in the NFL, you have to make changes, you have to adjust, and other teams are going to, they have now, 19, 20 games of Doug's offense from last year to game plan against. And one role that Frank Reich played that was critical for Doug was he was a sounding board. He was a guy that Doug trusted, a ton. And so every Saturday night before their games, they would meet and go over the game plan. And I really think there's value in bringing in a veteran-type guy there, a guy with, coaching experience, because even though Doug, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, you can make the argument he's the best head coach in the league. He's still only done it for 2 years, and he's still relatively young. So I think they'd be better off bringing an experienced guy like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Another voice, maybe someone who sees things differently there. As far as the Deuce Staley aspect goes, and I tend to agree with you, Mike Groh could be a little underrated. People not thinking about him, but I read that Monday Morning Quarterback piece the same way as you did. The 3 voices that were scripting that play were Groh and Frank Reich and Doug Peterson. That they obviously think highly of him. Now, as far as Deuce, last year we watched the Eagles keep John DeFilippo, not let him go from quarterback coach to Jets offensive coordinator. Do you think the Eagles would do that to Deuce if he's not promoted to offensive coordinator? So let's say Groh becomes a coordinator, but they don't let Deuce become the Giants offensive coordinator. They keep him here as a running back coach. Do you think that would happen or could happen?
I think if Deuce was offered the Giants offense coordinator job, or if they wanted to interview him with the intention of giving it to him, I think the Eagles would be less likely to block him than they were DeFilippo, just because of the history Deuce has with the organization. But at the same time, one thing I've always heard is that Jeffrey Lurie regrets early on in his ownership letting a lot of these good coaches leave the building when Andy was here. I mean, Harbaugh, Ron Rivera, guys like that. And you saw that with DeFilippo, blocking him. He can't block Frank Reich, and he couldn't block DeFilippo now because he was, no longer under contract. But the Eagles think very highly of Deuce. I mean, I guess we'll find out just how highly that is. But I'd be surprised if they let Deuce walk, especially to a divisional opponent. I think Deuce is maybe one of the guys they they would consider it for just because how long he's been there, but I don't think it's something they would want to do.
Yeah, and I'm just judging by people replying to me on Twitter today when I threw out the idea that Deuce might take this Giants job. People are going to be upset if Deuce leaves. I mean, he's obviously a fan favorite.
I think people are going to be upset if he doesn't get it. I think just because he's a no name at this point. I mean, but like, I don't know. I'm not as high on the Deuce thing as other people are.
Yeah, no, look, if they trust Mike Groh more, then they should give him the job. It is interesting. A lot of decisions to be made here for the Eagles to move forward. Elliot, last one for you. Of all the players they have that are not under contract as of the new league year in about a month or 3 weeks or so, which one is the one you're honing in on the most and saying that's the most difficult decision, or that's the one they really got to figure out a way, even though they're over the cap, to bring back?
Yeah. You know, the easy answer here is Nigel Bradham, I guess, just because of how well he played this year, how he stepped up with Jordan Hicks. But to me, it's really tough because they have so many key depth guys going up. And the name I would pick is Bo Allen, just because he played so well as a reserve defensive tackle. And such a big part of that defensive line is the fact that they can rotate guys in and out. If you lose Bo Allen, which I think there's a decent chance they might, your depth at defensive tackle gets scary thin, and you have to really hope you find a guy, or you have to hope that, you get a bargain free agent, because they really need to rotate those guys in and out. You saw late in the season, Timmy Jernigan wasn't playing as much, and it really is what keeps guys like Fletcher Cox fresh. So although Bradham's the big name, I think Bo Allen is like the sneaky guy where, a year from now, and when we look back at 2017, you'll say it was guys like him that took the team from good to great.
Yeah, the depth was there, and it was one of the biggest reasons they won. Ellie, before we let you go, tell us about this book. So NJ.com put out a book with you and your co-beat reporter, Matt Lombardo, kind of chronicling the Eagles season. Tell us about it, and where can people get it?
Yeah, so it's not just me and Matt. Steve Politi is in there as well, who I think is viewed as one of the best sports columnists in the country. So we have a ton of really good writing in there, but honestly what makes it is the photos. There's so many great photos in this book. It's 128 pages, and just it was cool. I mean, look, we all follow this day by day. I mean, Joe, me and you, we every week we watch the team. Every day we see what's going on with them. And even when I flipped through the book, I forgot about some stuff just because there's so many memories with this team now, with the deep playoff run and the switch from Wentz to Foles. You forget about the week 3 win over the week 4 win over the Chargers, the Monday night win over the Redskins. Just so many memories. So I think flipping back through it is cool. And look, this is a team we're always going to remember at this point. So I think it's just a great keepsake, and you can order it on nj.com/Eagles book, or you can go to triumphbooks.com. But, it's called Fly Eagles, and you can just Google it, and I'm sure you'll be able to find it.
Fly Eagles. Elliot, appreciate it, and we'll catch up soon, all right?
Yep, talk to you guys soon.
There he goes. Eliot Shorr-Parks, NJ.com. Fly Eagles is the book. And, I mean, he's right. There's a lot of... This season we will talk about the 2017 Eagles forever. I mean, really, forever in this town, because you know what? They won the Super Bowl. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard here. Let's talk to Bob, who's in Buckingham, up next on WIP. Hey, Bob.
How you doing, brother?
Doing well, man. What's up?
Oh, my God. I was so happy that it all went down the way it went down, but I was so happy because I lost my dad in 2004, and I'm going to lose it. But it was and then my son fought in Afghanistan, and he came on, and he watched the game with me.
That is Bob, that's special that he got to watch the game with you, Bob. And look, I think a lot of...
Oh, my God, I thought he was going to die. He's out there fighting, and he came home, and he was with me. Jesus Christ. I was like, thank you, Lord.
Bob, that's so special. And we've heard so many stories about family and about, just how much this meant. And I'm so glad, Bob, that he got to be home and he got to be there safe and sound and with you.
Yeah, he's like, I didn't know if he was going to make it home because he was a Marine. He's the first one on the fight. And then, you know what? He made it. He made it home, and we went to the parade. It was just, and then we went to my dad's grave and put a banner on him. God God bless everybody. I'm so happy for the Eagles.
I'm happy that you got to have that, Bob, and this city got to have this, but it's those stories like that, Bob. Thank you for calling and sharing that. And look, a lot of people out there had, if not the same, very similar things. They watched it with someone very, very special and that meant a lot. And that memory for Bob and for everyone out there as any sort of similar story will last really last forever. It really will. That reminded me of, when I saw the Red Sox when they won in 2004, and you watch people putting the jerseys or just flowers by a grave. It meant so much to this town. And when you hear it right there, and that kind of emotion, that's as real as it gets. 888-729-9494. Let's check in with our guy John Johnson down at the Wells Fargo Center. Halftime with the Philadelphia 76ers leading the New York Knicks 57-55. How you doing, John?
What's up, Joe? Classic case of the it's always funny when these two teams get together. It always appears that one team plays down to the other, and that's definitely the case tonight. Sixers led by 10 after one, obviously down to 2 at the half. Just, I don't know, as good as the first quarter was, it was just as sloppy in the second.
Yeah, they got outscored 34-26 in the second to make this a 2-point game and a half. And obviously the Knicks aren't even close to 100%, no Porzingis. So are the Sixers not playing great defense, or are some of the role players for the Knicks just kind of stepping up tonight?
It seems like everybody's just playing very sloppy, outside of Dario Saric, who is, if it weren't for him, they'd be down by 10 points right now. But it's just everybody all around, just sloppy play. Joel Embiid isn't himself. I don't know if he's just tired or just lack of focus. Justin Anderson got hurt. He came limping off, and he has a right ankle sprain. He will not return. X-rays were negative. It seems like a lack of focus tonight is the best way to describe it.
And the story, obviously, into the half now, John, is 3 fouls for Embiid. I watched on the TV in front of me, him walking to the bench with like a minute or two to go in the first half, coming off with the 3 fouls. They didn't want him to give him the fourth, but that's a storyline to watch here because they're going to need him to stay out of foul trouble here in the second half.
Yeah, and Cantor has been able to get the best of Embiid, whether it's drawing fouls or, in crucial possessions, able to score at him with just speed. So, again, with Embiid, it could be he's just fatigued or he's just not focused. But, yeah, having 3 fouls at the half isn't ideal.
It is not. John Johnson checking in from the Wells Fargo Center. John, enjoy the second half, bud.
Talk to you, Joe.
There he goes. John Johnson covering the Sixers. 57-55. Sixers up at the half. We'll do a little process post-game show a little bit later on. 888-729-9494. Pound 9494 to hop in. When we get back, promise, let you hear what Mike Pereira had to say about the Eagles Philly special. You're not going to love it, but you know what? He might have been right on this. We'll hear from Mike Pereira, the rules expert, and we will let you know again how to get involved to win our Flyers Devils tickets tomorrow night. Your best Jason Kelsey rant for any Philly sports team, past, present, or future. 888-729-9494. That is how you get in. And yes, the Eagles absolutely should consider trades involving Nick Foles. All coming up. Sports Radio 94, WIP. 8:23 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Jack Fritz behind the glass. Of course, Rob Cherry on the updates. You guys with us. 888-729-9494, pound 9494. That is how you get aboard. Couple of things we're bantering about here. We have our Nick Foles conversation, which I think today, the first real day of the Eagles offseason, it began, it started. The Nick Foles talk is here. We're having some real talk on Nick Foles. Just honesty. If the Eagles could get something substantial for Nick Foles, they have to consider it. That's where I lie on this. If it's not substantial, if it's a 4th-round pick, no, I'm not trading him away because the depth he provides and what he provides the Eagles in case Carson Wentz is not ready, it's worth it. It's worth to keep him around.
What if it's 2 and a 4?
Where's the 2?
Middle round.
Probably doing it. If it's the last pick in the second round, or let's say the Vikings pick in the second round, which is towards the end, they play in the NFC title game. I don't know, because that's almost like a 3 and a 5 if you kind of look at where their draft position is. That would be a tougher sell. Middle of the second round, I'm probably saying yes. 1st-round pick, I think, is a no-brainer. But I know a lot of you out there don't want to do this, don't want to consider trading Nick because of what he did, depth, and all that kind of stuff. But I think the Eagles have to be smart about this. They don't have a 2nd or 3rd-round pick this year, and they give a 4th to get Ajayi. So we're talking Foles. We also have a giveaway for you. This is great. Flyers Devils tickets tomorrow night at the Wells Fargo Center. Flyers are playing red hot right now. One of the better teams in the division for the past 2 months, looking more and more like a playoff caliber team this year. Konechny's been good. Patrick's coming on. Fun team to watch right now. You guys can go tomorrow night if you be our winner. And here's how we're giving away these tickets. Give us your best Jason Kelsey rant. And this is how we're doing it. You pick a Philadelphia sports team, past, present, or future, and you give us what the Jason Kelsey rant for that team would have sounded like. And you got to end it with, it was the whole team, just like Jason Kelsey ended his rant. All right, Jack, we got to hear yours again. So, Jack, we opened the show up, and we told you how we're doing this, and Jack has a rant on the current version of the Sixers. Actually, this is the 2020 Title Sixers?
The 2020 Title Sixers.
Right.
They're going to be marching down Broad Street.
So we're having a parade in June 2020?
Yeah. And this is exactly what it'll sound like. This is T.J. McConnell giving this speech in 2020 because, of course, he's still going to be around.
Of course.
He's my backup point guard for life. He doesn't have a choice to leave. So it's going to go like this. Embiid can't stay healthy. Dario will never come over. Hinkie's running a Ponzi scheme. Simmons is a bust. TJ isn't an NBA player. Covington can't play. Brett Brown can't coach. It's the whole team.
It's the whole team, which is always the key to it. So that's what it sounds like. You give us yours, and we'll get you the mix of things. All right, before we go back to the phone lines, Jack, let's play Mike Pereira. So Mike Pereira is the Fox NFL rules expert. You hear him on the games. He gives his thoughts. Is that a penalty? And whatever. They didn't have one on NBC. They don't have one there. Dean Blandino and Mike Pereira do the Fox. Does CBS have one? Who's CBS's?
It used to be Mike Carey.
Who was so bad at
And then he was wrong on everything.
He looked like a robot, too. He was so uncomfortable on
He
camera.
got so bad that you could actually place bets on him getting calls.
And I forget now because it was so bad how good of a referee I thought he was. Like, it erased my good memories of Mike Carey.
I will say this. I always got confused because he would point one way and then go the opposite way. He was that guy.
He was. But I thought he called a good game.
Yeah, just I didn't like being faked out.
You know what? I think Mike struggles on camera. So he got canned. Pereira's with Fox. NBC doesn't have anybody. The Zach Ertz play at the end of the game. If Pereira was there, that probably would have been less of a discussion. But how about the Philly special? The play we were talking about for a week and we'll talk about forever. Mike Pereira actually thinks, you know what? Maybe that should have been a penalty. Here's Mike Pereira.
Yeah, it should have been. You know, I know the league came out and said that it's a judgment call, which it is. You know, I mean, the down judge who was the one that was on his side of the field, you know, they felt that it was his judgment and he was close enough. Well, he wasn't. I mean, they lined up wrong. Not only that, it's a trick play, and if you're gonna run a trick type play, then you have to be lined up properly. You know, you could either have 6 men on the line, or you could have an ineligible number lined up on the end of the line, which was the case. I know what the league has said, but they would have been a lot more comfortable if they would have called that an illegal formation. You know, we always use the yard, you know, maybe a yard and a half, but that's two. That's two and even a little bit beyond two. So, yeah, that it's kind of one of those that has no effect on the play. I get it, but they didn't line up properly, and it really should have been called.
You know, I thought the same thing when the play happened. I was wondering if something was off there. There was actually a screenshot right away on Twitter where I guess someone from Boston screenshot and like they have too many men on the line. I don't know. I think they got away with one there. It doesn't matter now, but it is interesting. One of the great plays in the history of the Super Bowl. If a judgment call went a different way, it doesn't even count. That's how the game of inches always is. And that one happened there on the biggest stage. 888-729-9494. Let's talk to Scott in Williamstown. Hey, Scott.
Hello.
How you doing, buddy?
So one thing I want to say before I do this is I've always wanted to go to a Flyers game. I'm not just saying this to say it. It's kind of from my heart. I've always actually wanted to go to a Flyers game. I've never been able to go to one, so I hope I did one. But that's it. This is the 2008 Phillies.
2008 Phillies. All right, your Kelsey rant. Let's hear it.
Truger's on the juice. Howard could hit far, but he can't run the bases. Victorino too small. Ollie can't get the bat off his shoulder. Lee, he ain't got no more. Worth, he ain't worth it no more. Had the bat is too old. Matt Stairs too big. Brad Lidge can't even get the ball across the plate. Charlie Manuel can't even get up the stairs. Cole is cold. It's the whole team.
It's the whole team, Scott. We appreciate it, buddy. You know what I like there? He used he ain't got it anymore, which was a staple of the Jason Kelsey rant. It's pretty good. Pretty good. How old do you think Scott is?
I don't know. I can't tell.
He's a kid.
Definitely a kid.
We had a lot of kids in the evening show called in.
Seemed to like the evening show.
You know what?
Like, get done school, he'd come home. Although, did Brad Lidge really have a problem throwing the ball over the plate?
Not in 08.
He was,
eventually, actually, he did have command problems when he was young, and then in 09 he was bad.
Yeah, he's 46 or 46 that year.
Oh, wait, no, he was perfect in 08.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly
Close enough.
It was perfect.
It was a good call.
It was a good call. Let's talk to Mark, who's in Northeast Philly. What's up, Mark?
Hey, guys. Thanks for taking my call, man. This is the first time I called. I mean, I'm a lifer. I called Eskin years ago, and I used to talk to him, and I love this channel. I'll never change my dial. When I get in the radio, it doesn't matter what time of day, what's going on, 94 WYSP.
That's what we like to hear, Mark. WIP, that's right. Yeah, old school with YSP there.
I'm going way back. I still call the 610 WIP number from years ago.
How about that? You got to change that in your phone, Mark.
Yeah. Anyhow, man, I don't want to take up your time. You're a very busy man. I just wanted to say, man, that Nicky Foles, think about Garoppolo. I want to see you want to be like New England. You want to be like New England. See, what did New England get for Garoppolo? I'm curious. I don't know.
They got a second-round pick.
Okay, so Nicky Foles is a winner. Okay, so let me tell you something. You need a little more than that. You're going to have to come a little more than that. And you know, I'd part ways with Nicky Six. Unfortunately, this is a business. I say, look, guy, make this deal with me. I pull him in the back room. I say, Nick, I got to send you where I got to send you. But when you're done, you come back. I got a spot on my coaching staff. I'm going to have something for you, Nick. You're the man. You never have to buy a drink in this town.
Never. No, he doesn't buy a drink, a meal. People will love Nick Foles here forever.
Right. I do have a rant because I know your time is very valuable.
All right, Mark, which team you going with?
I'm going to go with the team, the Flyers. I'm going the team you're talking about right now, going way back. When they played that Red Russian team, Boston couldn't beat them. No one could touch that team. They came in here, and we said they couldn't even finish the game. We sent them packing, the Broad Street Bullies. You want to talk about a team with grit? The team that they remind me of is this Eagles team right now. But I'm telling you, look at it. You youngsters out there right now, you Google that team, and you see what they did to the Russians. And you remember what America stood for. And let me tell you something. Donald Trump said we're going to win, and we haven't stopped winning yet. God bless America.
Mark, appreciate the phone call there. How about that? A little old school American pride there.
The Broad Street Bullies are a team that I really wish I could have seen.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I don't think I would ever get over that team.
Well, think about it. This town has it. Mark's calling it in 2018.
I just think the coolest thing ever was them beating that Russian team so bad that they threatened to never come on the ice again. And Ed Snyder came down and said, "You're not getting paid unless you've come out there and play again." And then they got their ass beat the whole set.
Yes. No, it's a cool team. And you know what also is? It's like one of the last... We're not going to see a team ever again like the Broad Street Bullies. I mean, literally, sports are different now. Violence is different now. The way games are officiated now. If you like that old school in terms of toughness and in terms of beat up the opponent, you don't get it anymore. So it's like you can't replicate that. That was a fun call, just because I wasn't expecting a Broad Street Bullies conversation tonight. Let's talk to Matt, who's over in Jersey. What's up, Matt?
Joe, how you doing, man?
Doing well. What's up?
I love this question because I think the thing about the Flyers is that your favorite Flyers you probably don't even know yet, because this team, for the first time since I can ever remember, has like the top-rated farm system in the entire NHL.
Yeah, and what I like about these kids, Matt, is the ones that are here already and the ones that are playing, you could just see them getting better. I love watching Patrick play. And Konechny is, every time you watch him, he's doing something to help the team win.
These guys have a lot of jump. They got a lot of juice. It's a fast, young game, and I think it all comes down to chemistry. But they also got that goalie in the WHL, Carter Hart, that has like more shutouts than goals allowed in the last however many games. He is brilliant, and they've got like 4 quality defensemen between the 2 that they've got up. They've got young scoring wingers. They've got a lot of players that, like I said, I think your favorite Flyers you don't even know yet. And that's the thing that most excites me. So I would like to do my rant for the 2019 Stanley Cup winning Philadelphia Flyers.
How about this? I love this. Matt, I'm going to let you do it. I hope this all comes true, because Jack did the 2020 Sixers winning it. You got the 2019 Flyers winning it. We know we got one Eagles title. Titletown USA here in Philadelphia. All right, Matt, you're up.
So because hockey is kind of subdued, it'll be more difficult. So I'm doing mine, and the speaker at the mic is going to be Bernie Perrant talking about this 19 Flyers team.
People will love that. Go ahead.
So since the Flyer won the Stanley Cup in 73-74, everyone said the team cannot win without the goalie. And now we get Ron Hextall was the goalie, but they needed him to be the GM too. And he's a great guy. He saved everything, including my hair and that number from that girl in the front row. They tell me Giroux can play the wing. They say Jake Voracek is a ginger. They say Radko Gudas' head looked like a mayonnaise jar, but they don't know one thing. that when you get the Flyer together, they can even give Dave Hackstall a pulse and a smile on his face, and that's why the Consol Energy Center helicopter crashed down with Powers Booth, and Sidney Crosby was tragically destroyed, and the Philadelphia Flyers win the 2019 Stanley Cup, and that is why we're on Broad Street today.
It's the whole. Got to end it with it's the whole team, and that was fun. We'll get you in the run in there. How about that? I love the. I got to give it to him. I always say it every show at some point. The evening show callers, you guys bring it every night. How about that? Not only did he give his Kelsey speech, he gave it in a Bernie Parent impression, imagining Bernie Parent giving the speech at the 2020 Flyers parade. I'm all in on that. I'm all in.
It's good. It's good. It's a good idea.
No, it was fun. I mean,
it was a pretty good Bernie too.
Yeah.
I've listened to the commercials on here a lot. Obviously.
Well, you have to.
And I've listened to Bernie. That was a pretty solid Bernie.
It was. That was a good Bernie. I like that call. 888-729-9494 pound 9494 on your AT&T and Verizon Wireless Summit. So we just talked there a little bit about how the town could become Title Town USA. Flyers haven't lost since the Super Bowl. The Sixers, playing right now, have not lost since the Super Bowl. And how about this? One young member of the Phillies using the Super Bowl as motivation to bring a parade here. Tell you who next and what he had to say about watching this Eagles team and what it means to try to bring the next one to Philadelphia. 888-729-9494 to hop in. Sports Radio 94, WIP. 8:42 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94, WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. Rob Cherry, as you heard there on the updates. You guys with us. 888-729-9494. Talking about the Nick Foles question that will hover over this town and this Philadelphia Eagles team probably for the next couple months. We're opening up the doors to that conversation. Right? I think the Eagles have to consider trading Nick Foles for the right and pricey package. If it's a first or second round pick, I'm listening. If it's below that, I'm probably not going to move him because I think his value as a backup quarterback, especially with Wentz, uncertainty with his injury, timetable. Yeah, I want to keep him and I want to have good depth for next year, but I also want to win big for a while. And if you trade Nick Foles for a first or second round pick, you get a young star on a rookie contract. That helps you for a long time. 888-729-9494. Also, Flyers, Devils tickets for tomorrow night. Give us your best Jason Kelsey rant in terms of use any Philadelphia sports team, past, present, or future. What would their Kelsey rant sound like? You end it with, it's the whole team. Now, before we go back to the phone lines, I love this. So Reese Hoskins, he put an Instagram up last week. He was at the Super Bowl. He went to Super Bowl 52 out in Minnesota. Now, he grew up a Raiders fan out in the Bay Area, but he's kind of jumped on and become an Eagles fan, which I think that happens a lot with players. They grow up where they grow up. They have their teams, but then they become a player in this town. And I think it's almost like contagious. Like you want to root for their teams. You want the whole city to do well. So Hoskins is now all in on the Eagles. And he went to the Super Bowl as an Eagles fan. He was wearing his Underdogs t-shirt, Birds hat, and he got to see them win. So Todd Zalecki of MLB.com caught up with Reese. I guess his spring training is about to start. He's probably there early and whatnot. And asked him, what did it mean, the whole thing of watching them win? And he talked about how it gives him even more motivation because he loved watching the team win, the parade, even more motivation to bring one here for the Phillies. He said it makes you hungry to have that as a player, and to be part of a city like that is special. How about this, Jack? You have the Flyers on a win streak, you have the Sixers on a win streak, and you have Reese Hoskins, the Phillies' best player, saying, you know what? This makes me hungry to bring a parade to Philadelphia for the Phillies.
Winning is contagious, Joe. I mean, I think it pushes other teams to not make rushed win now moves, but it makes them think about winning in the future. And it should give teams an idea of, well, they lost the MVP of the league, they lost their Hall of Fame left tackle, They lost a star linebacker, and they still won. Why can't we?
Yeah, I agree. And I do think, Jack, you said you don't want anyone to rush into winning, but I do think it for the other teams, look, if you don't put a good product in the field, at least one that people believe is going in the right direction, you're going to get lost in the shuffle. The Eagles have been every bit of our conversation here for months because they were a championship team. Now, for the Phillies, they shouldn't go out and make a stupid move to get to 500 this year because of that, but I do think that it does play a role in how these teams act. Like, you can just get buried and lost. So if it motivates the other teams, I'm all for that. I'm all for that.
And I think you're seeing it. Neither team has lost since these Eagles won the Super Bowl. And it feels like every team's like, listen, if they can do it, Why can't we? It uplifts the whole city. I think the players saw how much these teams were beloved by the fans, and now they're all coming together.
And I think the parade probably gets them too. Like, I want that.
It should. It definitely should.
Who doesn't want a parade? I mean, it's awesome. To have that kind of love, every player on all these teams wants that. 888-729-9494. David is in Lower Merion. What's up, David?
Hey, long time. First time, long time, I should say. And can I just throw out two comments?
Sure.
Hang up, and then you could just, love the show, and I just want to hear your response.
Yeah, let's hear him, David.
Most of the hardcore Eagles fans that I know, me included, see Foles' value as a Super Bowl winning quarterback, not trade bait. So, I mean, again, I'll let you talk, but it's to hear you say you want a second-round pick for the guy that just brought us a championship. I mean, you heard the guy crying for 5 minutes. No one can understand what the heck he said, but that call, I shed a tear, and I'm sure you did too, because I know you're a fan. I don't know what degree yet, but again, I'm a long-time fan, but let's hear it out. Second, real quick, this whole thing that Embiid is now adopting the Nigerian nightmare. He's not even from Nigeria. He's from Cameroon, from what I understand, and he's not a Nigerian nightmare. He's a good fencer, but there's no way he can just say, I'm the Nigerian nightmare. You know that, and I know that. So why would he try to say it? Can you please answer me that question?
Yeah,
I'm going to hang up now.
you got it, David.
I'm going to hear your response. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I love the show.
Well, we appreciate it, but I appreciate you listening.
No.
David, appreciate it. David really loves the show.
I think Dave likes the show.
I think David's a fan of our show, and he's first time, long time, which is like, I love that. That's like,
does that make you tear up, Joe?
It's classic sports talk.
Hearing a first time, long time.
First time, long time. As far as Nick Foles, I don't know why wanting to trade Nick Foles for a second or first round pick makes anyone less of a fan of the team. This isn't about fandom. In fact, actually, it is. I want the Eagles to win for a long time. If I wanted the Eagles to just win for 2017 and 2018, then I would laugh at anyone that said trade Nick Foles. Because I agree with the idea. Obviously, 2017, he won them the damn Super Bowl. And 2018, they might need him to win 4 games to start the season. This is about, what was the phrase you used earlier, Jack? The longest view in the room?
The longest view in the room. I mean, look at the Phillies. They got attached to players, and then they weren't able to move them. And it killed their window. They had a 5-year window that could have been spread out for years. The Yankees never go through a dip. The Red Sox never go through a dip once they make it on top. We don't want the same kind of thing happen with the Eagles. It could be a longer window if you trade him for a second or third round pick.
Yeah, I'm not rooting over the next couple of years for Nick Foles. I'm rooting for the Eagles, and I think the Eagles could benefit from trading Nick Foles. That's where I come from on this. So I don't know this story. The Nigerian nightmare thing, is that what Embiid wants to be called now? Have you heard this?
I have not heard this.
This is a new one for me. I haven't heard this story. Look, as the caller said there, David, that he is from Cameroon. Now, I don't know all the rules on all this in terms of what you could be called. I'm not familiar with that. I know he's a damn good player. I know he just got a technical foul, which I'm not happy about. But as far as the Foles thing, yeah, I don't think it makes you less of a fan if you say, yeah, I'd trade Foles. I think it's just you want the team to succeed for a long time. This is going to be hard for the Eagles. I knew it would be. But just hearing from you guys tonight, which I'd say 75% of our callers, 80% tonight, want no part of the idea of trading Nick Foles. And I understand that. I expected this. But this is going to be harder on the Eagles than I even maybe guessed.
Also, Robert Covington just posterized Michael Beasley.
Good.
Does Michael Beasley have to retire now?
Gone. He's out of the league. Ban him. He's gone. No longer be in the NBA. Let's talk to Rhonda down in Washington, D.C. Hey, Rhonda.
Hey, what's up, guy? Listen. Okay, sorry about that.
That's all right.
Take you off the speaker. A couple of things. First of all, with the Nick Foles dilemma, which is about to come up, I'd say if you're a true fan, you are really going to have to understand that it's a business. And if you really are a true fan and you want to continue to win Super Bowl, you got to kind of let that Nicky option play through your mind. Otherwise, it could be one and done, and I don't want that.
I think Rhonda, you're right. That's the way you have to do it. And here's the thing, and I think you understand this and you're saying it. You're not trading him and getting nothing back. You're hopefully getting a draft pick you could use to add to this team so they win more.
Exactly. And the second point I wanted to make, I think his name is Mike Piera, the guy who calls the plays that had something snarky to say about the
he's the rules expert for Fox. He thought it should have been a penalty.
Okay, now. You know why I almost jumped in the air and clicked my heels? Because it happened against the Patriots, the quintessential cheaters of the NFL. And it's like that whole game. If you look back on that whole game, they pretty much threw the Patriots nonsense back in the Patriots' face. They used Corey Clement as our version of what's the little guy's name, Amendola.
Yep.
And they basically controlled the line of scrimmage, which is what they used to do in the past. And they tried to trick play, and we said, okay, we got one for you, and ours worked. Have a good night.
Appreciate it, Rhonda. And that's true. And you know what? The Patriots have always done that. The Patriots have always been very brazen when it comes to trick plays, bending the rule book in games. Forget all the cheating stuff in between. They had a playoff game a couple of years ago, maybe 4 years ago, against the Baltimore Ravens. I think it was like a double pass across the line, and it was very controversial, as John Harbaugh thought it was illegal. So they've done, every team does that. Here's the bottom line. It's a judgment call. Mike Pereira can have his view on it. He judged it a certain way. The referees and the line judge and all that, the umpire on the field for the Super Bowl, judged it their way. Luckily for the Eagles, in the game, it got judged the way that's going to work out for them to score. And the Philly special, lives forever. Let's talk to Pete out in Los Angeles. What's up, Pete?
Yo, Joe.
Hey, Big.
Excuse me. Nothing. I was kind of funny. I was going to call you guys and talk to you about Reese, but I had the coolest story. I get off the plane, Saturday afternoon, and I'm looking for an Uber, but the reception was terrible, and there's a couple, and you just have to understand that the way Reese Hoskins was dressed, he had the old black and green Eagle Buddy Ryan retro cap on, and he had a hoodie on, and then he had the dog mask shirt on. So I was talking to, first I said, are you guys trying to get an Uber? And he was like, yeah, we're not getting any reception either, and his girlfriend was there, and we were just kind of talking. I was like, well, I'm going to go get a train because, it's not working out. And as I was walking away, I was like, you look really familiar. I was like, are you from Delaware County? And he's like, no. And then I was walking away, and I was like, oh, you're Reese Hoskins, aren't you? And he's like, yeah. So then we got to talk, and we ended up taking the train. But he was super nice. I had a chance to actually talk to him, which was really cool. And I just said, I want to let you know that, we support you 100%. And if you just, you hustle, like Chase Utley, you'll have the town for the rest of your life. And he was like, yeah, I can tell. He's like, he was just so cool. And I knew once I saw him, I was like, the Eagles are going to win. I just felt it. I felt the whole time. About an hour before the game, I threw a couple $100 on the game. And I never was in doubt, Joe. Were you ever in doubt? I know maybe
No, I wasn't. I thought they'd win, and then the way they got off to the good start by scoring on the first drive, 7-minute drive, I felt good that whole game, Pete. They really outplayed them. I know Brady had a good game, but the Eagles outplayed them the whole day.
Exactly. I was, I definitely had, my druthers before the game, but during the game, exactly. We saw a dominant performance from top to bottom. Obviously, the defense got shredded, but I kind of expected that was going to happen a little bit because flat out the Patriots have a lot of talent on their offense. They got the best quarterback, and just they have a lot of talent. So it happened, but I didn't get a chance to go to the parade because I had to come back here. My girlfriend was like, you had your run, but. Other than that, it's just great talking with you, and I'm sure you guys are just beaming with sheer joy right now.
Yeah, the whole city still is. Pete, we appreciate it, bud. Good call. Then how about running to Reese Hoskins, taking a train with Reese Hoskins? That's not bad.
Is Reese Hoskins? I think we're underrating how awesome Reese Hoskins is going to be.
I think it's almost out of sight, out of mind. People will remember again when the season starts. But for a short period, he had this town.
Yeah, we had nothing else.
Well, that's true. It was good timing because it was August. It was just training camp. Yeah, it was a perfect time. But I think people have almost forgotten how good he was for that month.
He is a transformational, best player in a championship team kind of talent.
And I think he's got a pretty good personality. He's going to have he's going to be a star. He likes to talk. He was on ESPN. I saw him. He went on Barstool.
He was on Sirius XM yesterday. So he's all about the media stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's great because the Phillies need a face, and he could be their face. Speaking of the Phils, when we get back, let you hear this. A former Major League Baseball GM thinks the Phillies should go out and sign Jake Arrieta, which I agree with. Jake Arrieta's still out there. The Phillies have connections to him. How about that? How about adding a big-time starter before spring training really gets underway? We'll let you hear what the former MLB GM had to say on the other side. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. The Nick Foles conversation begins, and give us your best version of a Jason Kelce speech to get involved for the running for our tickets. Flyers, Devils, tomorrow night at the Wells Fargo Center. 888-729-9494 on WIP. .901 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94 WIP. Jack Fruits behind the glass. Rob Cherry on the updates. You guys with us. 888-729-9494. Pound 949 for that is how you get aboard. Opening up the Nick Foles conversation for the first time here on the evening show. I think they have to. The Eagles have to at least entertain the idea of trading him for something substantial. Whether that's a 1 or a 2, that's what I'm thinking. 3 or a 4, I'm out. But if they get something good back, I'd have to consider it because, look, this team, if they want to sustain winning for 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 years, going to need as many young star players as they could find. And Nick Foles is not that. He's a backup quarterback on a 1-year deal. So we're talking Foles. We have our Kelce rant. You give us a good one pertaining to any team in Philadelphia history, past, present, or future. How would the rant sound when they win? And we'll get you in the running for our Flyers Devils tickets for tomorrow night at the Wells Fargo Center. Now, I believe Wednesday is the first full squad Phillies workout. How about that? Spring training is here. And I hear tomorrow night, a little hot stove show on WIP with Scott in L.A. at 6 o'clock. That's the rumor going around. So baseball is back in the air. And the Phillies, like almost every team this offseason, has been waiting on the pitching market. Like so many free agents still out there. No one did anything. People were threatening collusion. Well, one domino fell on Saturday. Yu Darvish signed with the Chicago Cubs. Big deal, 6 years and a whole bunch of money. That could be the dam breaking on pitching. So Jim Duquette, former MLB general manager of the Mets, was on one of the MLB.com podcasts, and he talked about where Jake Arrieta could end up and which team is the best fit. Listen to this.
Arrieta is such a good fit. You know, everyone's talked about Milwaukee, go back to the Cubs, maybe it's the Dodgers. Man, the Phillies haven't spent enough. They got $64 million committed to their payroll this year. They have plenty of room. And they're looking to compete next year. Right? They're young position players, Hoskins and J.P. Crawford and Scott Kingery. You can throw in Alfaro into that mix. They just got Santana for 3 years. Their window is now, in my mind, to get a starter ahead of the curve like the Cubs did a couple years ago with John Lester. Throw in Arrieta, who's a winning pitcher, can eat up innings for them, help their young starters. And they're the ones that can afford it. And, oh, by the way, the front office knows Arrieta from the Orioles from the Orioles days when Arrieta was there. So it's hard to find a better fit with a team that can actually afford them, and they have plenty of payroll space in Philly. So I'd love to see them there. And by the way, it always helps when the Eagles win. It puts a little pressure on the baseball team.
I like that at the end, too. A little pressure on the Phillies. Jack, I'm all in on the Jake Arrieta thing. Go get him. Go get him right now.
Sort of. I just thought, what does he get you?
He gets you, like he said, you're ahead of the curve. You get your pitcher now, your free agent pitcher now, and not wait till next year when there might be a few out there. I think Dallas Keuchel, Clayton Kershaw, maybe, but you don't know when the next guy's going to, be out there for just money.
But if you're signed to a short year deal, so this is the first year, then next year you go on the free agent market, and it's 2 years of Jake Arrieta, and then he's getting older and older, and it's like, I don't know. I don't think you're going to win the World Series in 2 years.
I think they could win it in 2019. That's not crazy.
Well, if they add a Harper, they add a Machado, it kind of jumpstarts this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, look what the Cubs and Astros did. When it clicks, it clicks.
And if Sixto comes up,
yeah,
it's just I think you're rushing into an Arrieta signing that you don't have to rush into just yet.
But does it hurt you?
No, it doesn't hurt you.
Yeah,
but it does take you further away from the top of the draft. And I know no one wants to hear it.
Yeah, come on.
But I like those high picks.
Yeah, and I get that. But I think that he could be good for a while. He's only 31 years old. He's not 36. He's only 31. And he has a very limited number of innings on his arm because he didn't pitch a lot when he was young. I think he could be good for a while.
Yeah, but like I've said many times, he's a guy that relies on peak physical condition. And once that slips a little bit, I'm worried about how he recovers.
And he is in good shape. I mean, he's unlike most pitchers you ever see. And if he continues that, he could be good for a while.
I just don't think he can win in the next 3 years. And I think you're rushing into an area.
You don't think they can win by 20?
But what's he going to be in those 3 years? What's he going to be in the third year of that contract where you're paying him $25 million?
He might be really good.
I don't think. Do you really think he's going to be really good?
Yeah, why can't a 34-year-old Jake Arrieta be good? We're not talking about a 37-year-old pitcher. No, Jack, if I'm not giving him 5 or 6 years, I'm not giving him the Yu Darvish contract and getting locked in and you're screwed in 2020, 2021.
That's a horrible deal, yeah.
Yeah, but 3 years? 3 years, 80 makes him one of the top 6 or 7 highest paid pitchers. I think he might do that. Just money. They have tons.
I know, but you're spending money just to get to where is more my thing.
But you're getting ahead of it. So next offseason, you go, okay, we're getting Harper.
We have Arrieta in place. He's our ace. We have Nola.
Yep.
We have Sixto coming up. And then you can make a better pitch. I've said many times, if you want to really attract those guys, you need to win 78 games.
Well, I think he's making the Cubs example.
Yeah.
They got Lester early. They got Lester early. Look, we'll see. And he might go
they still
somewhere.
signed Lester to a 5-year deal. I mean, it's a little different scenario.
Sure. They gave him a lot of money. They prioritized him. He became an early signing in that period. This is more of a pre-spring training thing. If he's available and he'll come here and there's familiarity, like he said, I do it. You sign me up for Arrieta and Nola as 2 of your 5 spots in the rotation. I think this team could be interesting this year. They're going to have a good bullpen. They're going to hit. They played almost 500 baseball in the second half.
That bullpen is being underrated by most.
It absolutely is.
Fans. It's going to be a really good bullpen.
You know what the people hear right now? They hear a preview of spring on WIP, a little baseball talk.
Does it feel warmer outside already?
It actually...
I think it does.
We had the start of this conversation. It went up 10 degrees outside.
I feel warmer inside, honestly. I'm not lying.
That's because we like baseball too much. That's what that's about. 888-729-9494. Chris is on the cell. What's up, Chris?
Hey, how's it going, Joe? Love the show.
Thanks, buddy. Going well, man. What's up?
Well, as far as Foles goes, I'm not opposed to trading him, but I mean, I just hope they do right by him. Like, if Cleveland can offer every draft pick they have, and I don't want them to send Nick Foles to the Browns. That would break my heart.
You don't want to send him to football hell?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, he did right by us. We need to do right by him.
I think that's fair, and I think probably, Chris, if we're being realistic about this, anywhere he goes, if a team's going to give up something real for him, they're probably going to want to negotiate a contract extension. So Foles is going to have some say here. If he says, hey, guys, I'm not re-signing in Cleveland, then they're probably not going to give up a real pick, and then a trade won't happen. So, yeah, Foles has to be part of this whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to see. And I got a second point. So for about the past 6 months, me and my brother have been arguing about LeBron. He says, oh, he's coming to Philly. I said, no way. There's no way he's coming to Philly. And so my question was, you think LeBron's seen any of that footage from the parade, maybe on Twitter or something? And he's thinking, oh, that's somewhere I might like to play. I'm a free agent next year. I can go wherever I want.
You know what? I guarantee he's going to give the Sixers a look. And Chris, we appreciate the call. Now, I know, Jack, you don't want LeBron, which is just a ridiculous take. It's ridiculous. But
not ridiculous if you let me explain why.
No, it's borderline insane. He's one of the 2 greatest players to ever live. And he's still playing at
the greatest player to ever live.
He might be. When his career is all said and done, I think I've always said this. He's having the greatest NBA career ever. People get upset when I say that, but whatever. Of course, the Sixers should be interested. As far as I don't know what he wants. He might want to go to LA. I don't know. But if the Sixers continue to play the way they have and get in the playoffs, maybe play him and give him a series, sure. I do think there will be here's my prediction on this whole thing. LeBron James will come here in July and give the Sixers a meeting.
Do we have a parade that day?
Well, we have
a parade to follow LeBron around?
That's all we talk about on WIP. I mean, like that might be actually a 2-week thing leading into NBA free agency, but if he's here in town for a day, do you think he'd come here, Jack, or do you think the Sixers would have to go to Akron?
Well, they probably have to go to L.A., first of all, because he just bought a second house in L.A.
That's true.
I mean, the signs are kind of pointing that way.
Well, the Lakers just helped the whole thing.
Not talking about the Lakers, Joe.
Clippers? Oh, come on.
Why?
Because why would he go to the Clippers?
Because Jerry West convinced Kevin Durant to go there. They just traded Blake Griffin to clear money for LeBron James. I know it's not the greatest idea, but Jerry West is a soothsayer to these guys.
He is. And I'm sure he respects Jerry West. I think he's going to go to the Lakers, but he might go to the Clippers. Let's go to Sean in Delaware. What's up, Sean?
Hey, how you doing? Glory days coming for Philly with all these teams doing better.
I feel you. I think you're right, Sean. I think the next 5 years is going to be a lot of fun around here.
Yes, it will. And I just have one point about the Super Bowl and about the Nick Foles trade, and then I got a speech for you.
All right, let's hear it.
Okay. Well, I mean, the time that I really, really, really felt comfortable in the Super Bowl was when they were coming out of the tunnel. You saw the team that was having fun, that they were hungry. You can tell them the way they were dancing. And then when the Patriots come out of the tunnel, they just ran to the sideline, drank some Gatorade. That there I knew we had it. And then about the Foles trade, I'm torn about it because I like him, but I think they need to do right by him, and I think they're going to discuss it with him, what the possibilities may be. I wouldn't trade him for anything less than a second and third or a first and third or even a first and fourth maybe, and maybe a package deal to get some players off the books and vice versa.
I think that's fair, Sean. I think if you're giving him up for anything less than what you're saying, you're not getting enough back, and it's not worth the value he has because we don't know if Carson's going to be healthy and you might need him for a month. It all depends on what you get back. I think that's for every trade, but certainly here for this one, maybe more than most we talk about. Sean, you got a rant for us?
Yeah, I want to bring the phone away from my mouth a little bit because I can get kind of loud.
All right, which team are you going to go with?
The first Stanley Cup from the Flyers in 73-74 Flyers.
All right, let's hear it.
They say hockey would never survive in Philly. Bernie couldn't lead us to a cup. Schultz is a bully. There's no expansion team after the 1967 season that have ever beaten the original 6 team in the postseason. And we did it twice. And in the words of the late, great Kate, God bless America. It was the whole team.
It's the whole team. Sean, I could tell there that you're a diehard Flyers fan with that knowledge. Sean, appreciate the call there. We'll get you in the mix for our tickets. How about that? Dropping some Flyers facts on us tonight. I didn't expect that. It's pretty good. Let's talk to Chris, who's in Logan. What's up, Chris?
Joseph, what's up, man?
How you doing, man?
It's another day. Listen, I'm not disagreeing with the fact that people want to trade Foles. I get it. First of all, Howie's going to have to work magic this year, for this offseason anyway, for next year, because you can't keep all these players. So people are going to go. Smallwood's going to go. I'd be okay with letting like a Bo Allen go. But in terms of Foles, you have to ask yourself a couple questions. Number one, is a mid to late first round, high second round pick worth possibly having Nate Sudfeld start the first 4 games of the season next year? Is a draft pick or a couple draft picks or whatever worth not having the Super Bowl MVP on your team because your franchise quarterback isn't available to play? We all understand Carson Wentz is his team. So Foles said it. This is Carson's team. However, if I want to win, listen, Eagles fans got a taste of it. You want more. We want more. We want more rings, more Super Bowls. We want to be the better version of the New England Patriots. However, I don't think you have to sign Foles to this 6-year, $900 million contract. However, I do think he likes being here. And I think, like I said, I think you have to ask yourself, are those draft picks worth not having that security blanket? And guess what? You know just as well as I do, especially being a host on this station. If Carson comes out next year, let's say he starts week 1, and he plays horribly for those first 2 games, and Foles is traded, Joe, you know what kind of calls you're going to be getting.
Oh, of course. Howie Roseman isn't a football guy. Howie doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah, I know what he said. We should have never traded him.
Right. Now, Chris, you're totally spot on with that. That's the other side of this, and I appreciate it. The other side of this is Carson struggles. Carson isn't ready, and they struggle. But I do think we have to throw one thing in the mix here. As Jack is already upset at the eventual quarterback controversy or whatever it's going to be 8 months before it happens. But should we trust Doug Peterson after what we saw this year? Maybe Doug Peterson could just make any backup quarterback play pretty well. Maybe Nate Sudfeld, maybe a veteran. I think they can move the ball with almost anyone with Doug back there, a competent quarterback.
Yes. I could sign Josh McCown off the street.
Actually had a pretty good year.
He had a great year. A good year. A great year's a little much.
He had a good year.
He's good. But, here's the thing with this whole we should play Foles if Wentz struggles, whatever, this preemptive argument we're already getting into. What is the most important thing for the future of this Eagles team?
Carson Wentz.
Carson being healthy.
Carson and Doug together.
You have to let him play through whatever he's going through. It doesn't matter. I mean, I would like to win next year. But it's more important for the future of the team that Carson gets on the same page with everyone else, gets back into a rhythm, than benching him midseason because he's struggling coming back from a major knee problem.
The minute Nick Foles won the Super Bowl MVP, You win.
Gave
Joe?
that to myself.
All right, you win. This became a thing, whether it's the trade, no trade, whether it's eventual quarterback controversy. The crazy part is Nick Foles is the least controversial athlete on the planet.
And yet he's the most.
He's a lightning rod. Like, he's Nick Foles. He's a lightning rod. It's amazing. 888-729-9494, pound 9494 on your AT&T and Verizon wireless cell phones. We get back, your phone calls, a little process postgame. And how about this? The Patriots have a new owner. And that's a familiar name. We'll tell you who it is. We get back on Sports Radio 94 WIP. .23 on a Monday night. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. Sports Radio 94. WIP. Jack Fritz behind the glass. We've got Rob sharing the updates and you guys with us. 888-729-9494. That is how you get aboard. Let's talk to Big E in Woodbury Heights. I think I'm crazy about this Foles thing. What's up, Big E?
Hey, Joe.
How are you?
Long time no speak.
What's it been, a week, Big E?
Maybe a week.
Maybe a week.
I'm going to talk about Nick Foles. And also I want to link it to the coaches who are now, going to other teams for better pasture.
Yeah, like Frank Reich going to the Colts and DiFilippo going to the Vikings.
Yeah. They will be missed, number one. Nick Foles, as I understand, has 1 year left on his contract. Is that true?
Yes, it is. He signed through the 2018 season.
Okay. So what's Howie going to do? You got to give him a bump. I don't think he's going to leave. I think Howie's going to reward him very much.
Well, I don't know if you could do that, Big E. I mean, look, at some point here, probably in the next 2 years, they're going to have to pay Carson Wentz most likely over $30 million. I don't think you could give Nick Foles a bump from $7 million out of a $30 million quarterback. You can't invest $40 million a year in quarterbacks.
Well, Carson deserves it, and so does Foles. So give him a bump for a year, maybe. You keep him here for 2 years. If Carson goes down, you got somebody ready to go. That's right.
Yeah, no, look, it's great to have depth. It's great to have a backup quarterback you could trust, but you can't build a roster. And Biggie, I always appreciate the call. You can't build a roster paying all these quarterbacks all this money. The reason why this is even close to palatable right now is because Carson Wentz is still on his rookie deal. Once that changes, the entire equation for the Eagles changes. I don't think the gravity of that is being felt yet, and I understand it. Carson hasn't been re-signed yet. It's a tomorrow problem. But guess what? Tomorrow's going to come eventually. And when Carson gets paid, you're going to need, number one, a cheaper backup quarterback. And number two, you're probably going to need a lot of young players on rookie deals making a ton of impact. And that's why if a second-round pick comes calling for Nick Foles, I'm going to feel good about it. Let's talk to Mason in New Jersey. What's up, Mason?
Hello?
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Hey, I'm a first-time caller. Me and my dad have been listening to you for a few months. And I just wanted to talk about, the coaching situation with the Eagles and maybe a little bit about Nick Foles and a possible trade.
All right, what do you think about the coaches here, Mason?
Dave Flippo went to, I believe, the Vikings, and Frank Reich went to Colts. I heard a lot of rumors about Deuce Staley going to moving up to offensive coordinator, which I really don't know about that. I also heard from sources that a possible Brian Westbrook moving to running backs coach.
I don't know anything about Brian Westbrook or his interest to be a coach, Mason, but I will tell you this. The Deuce Staley thing is interesting because the Giants, there's definitely interest there because Pat Shermer knows him from when he was in Philadelphia. Yeah. He could be in the mix to become the Giants' offensive coordinator. I don't know what the Eagles want to do. I don't know if they want to. I think if they want to make Deuce the offensive coordinator here, then they'll keep him and he'll stay. But if they promote, let's say, Mike Groh or somebody else, Deuce might leave and go to the Giants. That could happen.
Yeah. And I just, to Nick Foles thing, do you know if, Russell Wilson got traded to the Yankees, Do you know if he's going to pursue baseball as a profession or if he's going to come back to football?
No, he's just having a good time. Mason, appreciate the call. He's a baseball guy. He played baseball in college. He always wanted to play for the Yankees, like in quotes, air quotes. He's not actually going to play. Like, he's going to go to spring training. He's going to hit the ball around. He did this with the Rangers last couple of years. He puts a glove on. He takes batting practice and fielding practice, and then he goes home. Like, Russell Wilson's not playing in the big leagues, but he is a Yankee. That's true. He got traded.
I didn't know Mason had sources.
Mason has sources. I think all of our callers have sources.
Yeah.
But Mason knows people. That's the difference.
TJ. Can we talk about TJ? Sorry. I know you don't. TJ's got a triple-double, and he had 6 steals to go along with it. TJ McConnell, we are all Gritnesses.
We're all TJ McConnell, really, Jack, when you think about it. Here's the thing. Coughing on the air in excitement because of TJ McConnell. I was watching the game in front of me here, Jack, and he got the triple-double on a rebound, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
The crowd, I was looking up.
Lost it.
I lost it, but I was talking to our caller there. I look up. They're dumping water on TJ McConnell's head right now. I look up, though, and people are going crazy in the arena. I'm like, what happened? And it was for the triple-double.
I think I'm getting emotional over here. I love TJ.
But you're going to cry in the air tonight?
I might cry. This is too much. Also, 8-0 post-Super Bowl win.
No one loses in this town anymore.
We're the city of champions.
City of champions. 888-729-9494. Let's take one more here, and then we will start the process post-game show. Ed in Northeast Philadelphia.
Yes.
Hey, Ed.
Hey, thank God. No. I'm glad you took my call. Basically, I think we cannot trade Nick Foles. I mean, we have to trade Nick Foles. I'm sorry. We have to, because it would be selfish of us. And the reason why I say that is that Nick Foles has been selfless all year. All year he has done for us, and the Eagles themselves have been selfless. And he's earned big money. He's earned at least 3 years. Put him over on the AFC side, let him torment Tom Brady during the regular season, and pay that guy his just dues, which is $17 to $20 million a year. He earned that money, and it would be better for the team and better for him financially. He earned that money. Let's give it to him.
Well, look, if he's a starter, Ed, and appreciate the phone call there, he would make that money. I mean, the best starters now making 27, 28. Cousins might get $30 million. 17 for Nick Foles? Yeah. I think that's about right. All right, let's do a little process post-game show.
This is the Process Post-Game Show on the voice of Sixers fans in Philadelphia. Sports Radio 94 WIP.
Another victory tonight for the Philadelphia 76ers, 108-92. Look, the Sixers win again. They're now 29-25, 17-10 at home. You know what we're watching here, folks? We're watching a playoff team. We are watching an Eastern Conference playoff team come together, start to close out games. I haven't heard or saw one fire Brett Brown tweet or phone call on the board here in a while, and for good reason. They're playing really good basketball, took care of the Knicks tonight, 16-point victory. We talked to John Johnson at the half, and it was getting a little dicey. It was a 2-point game. Well, they outscored the Knicks by 5 in the third quarter. They outscored them by 9 in the fourth quarter and held the Knicks in the fourth quarter. How about this? To 13 points. A great finish. Like, that is the opposite kind of finish of so many games this year, where the fourth quarter was a collapse, the fourth quarter which you can't play any defense. Not tonight. 13 points the Knicks had in the fourth quarter. And look, let's not bury the lead here. Everyone's favorite Philadelphia athlete, or one of them, just had a ridiculous game. I feel like this might be the TJ McConnell night we talk about for a while. A triple-double, 10 points, 10 rebounds, 11 assists, throw in 6 steals. TJ McConnell played 37 minutes. You know, I never thought I'd say this, but TJ McConnell has been a savior in the Markelle Fultz debacle. Because you know whose minutes were supposed to get cut by the drafting of Markelle Fultz? TJ McConnell's. And you know who's playing 37 minutes for a playoff team right now? TJ McConnell. What an incredible story. I'm watching. And I got to mention, too, Dario Saric, who has been really a revelation the last month and a half, just playing better and better and better. He tonight dropped 24 points, 4 boards, 4 or 6 from three-point range, and his three-point range early in the season, she was really poor from downtown, and that's turned around in a big way. Dario's doing his thing, and TJ McConnell, he's doing his thing. Let's talk to Aaron up next on the Process postgame show. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, how are you?
Doing well, man. What's up?
Good. No, I'm driving back from the game with my daughter Anna. She's wearing her Dario jersey. Really happy. It's her favorite player. And it was a great showing by McConnell and great showing by Dario. It was a lot of fun.
I was. And look, they're closing out games now, Aaron, and those guys, they're so much fun to watch, both Dario and TJ.
That's right. This fourth quarter was the first time I saw him take some time off the clock, use the full shot clock, and really close out games. I wonder if it's better to have TJ at the point in the fourth quarter than Ben. He seems to have a little more patience, a little more sense of the game at the end.
Well, I think he turns the ball over less in pressure moments, and I think it's probably it's more of a veteran thing. He's been around a little bit. I think he's more comfortable. I think at some point, and Aaron, I appreciate it, and thank you for calling the Process postgame show. I think if TJ continues to shoot the basketball well, you could see a late game lineup sometimes, or fourth quarter lineup sometimes with both TJ and Ben Simmons out there. But Ben's going to get the majority of the reps. Like as good as TJ was tonight, they kept him in there late because they were up so much. They finished this out, and how about that? How about the defense of the fourth quarter holding the Knicks to just 13 points?
You getting emotional in there?
A little bit. Listen, TJ's my guy, Jack. He's my guy. Let's talk to Brandon, New Jersey. Hey, Brandon.
Hey.
What's up, bud?
Hey, how you doing, man? Yeah, I'm feeling good after that win. Let me tell you something tonight. I am so happy. Michael Beasley was adopted by Covington tonight after that poster. It's beautiful. He's now his father. It's official.
You know, Brandon, I don't know if they make posters anymore, but if they make them, that's going to be one.
Oh, that's going to be one. This is going to be a beautiful one. I'm going to plaster that right over top of my bed. I'm going to look at it every night before I go to sleep. Now, let me tell you something. For all the people that say fire Brett Brown, where are you at now? Don't hear you now. Let's go Sixers, go Birds.
Go Birds. How about that? That is passion right there. Go Birds call in the middle of a TJ and Brett Brown rant. 888-729-9494. If you're leaving the game and you want to talk a little Sixers, the Process postgame show continues after this. How about this? A positive Process postgame. You know why, Jack? The Sixers are pretty good.
Should they fire Brett now? Should Brett be fired?
Question. This is a question for the rest of the show. Is Brett Brown a good coach now? Or not yet?
Can't tell.
Can't tell yet? Bad one? Good one?
Only a bad coach when they blow leads.
That's right. And he's a good so he's a good coach tonight?
He's a good coach tonight. He's been a good coach for a month now.
I'm just trying to wrap my mind around it if Brett Brown's a good coach. Here's the answer, everybody. Ready? Yes, he's always a good coach. 888-729-9494 at Sports Radio 94 WIP.
I got so much love for this city and these fans. Come a long way from my rookie year where they were booing a lot of us, and deservingly so when you win 10 games. I think they're the greatest fans, and they show up every game, and the atmosphere is great.
The man, the myth, the legend, TJ McConnell, 10, 11, and 6 steals, a triple-double for TJ McConnell. Joe Giglio hanging out with you. This is the Process postgame show. If you get in the car and you're leaving the Wells Fargo Center, let's talk about what we just watched, because the Sixers win again, 16-point victory over the Knicks, 29-25 now, and TJ dropped a triple-double.
You missed a golden opportunity there to say we are all gritnesses, which I think you need to use more when you're talking about TJ McConnell.
Hey, you got the T-shirts ready? I will buy a We Are All Gritnesses shirt.
Yeah, I need you to buy one. It's a show shirt.
I will, yeah. I mean, let's start selling it in the evening show. We Are All Gritnesses to TJ McConnell. I love that kid. I mean, he's a guy that worked his way from the bottom to become a legitimate. He played 37 minutes now. He's a legitimate contributor to a playoff team in the NBA. If you told me that the first time I watched McConnell play, I would have said there's no way. But here he is doing it. And really, a big part of the reason why the Sixers have been able to overcome, I mean, they're 29-25, and they've gotten 4 games out of Markelle Fultz, and it doesn't look like he's coming back anytime soon, is because TJ McConnell has been doing his thing. Let's talk to Gus in Allentown. I think he wants to talk a little TJ. What's up, Gus?
Hey, Joe. Well, TJ McConnell is really a treasure. But I want to ask you about the Bellini thing when we leave. When we leave each other. What's your comments on Bellini? But is Simmons going to break a record for dunks in 1 year for a point guard?
I don't. You know what? I hadn't thought about that, but he just might.
He might be double. He might be double.
I mean, Russell Westbrook does dunk a lot, but Ben has a lot. Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, okay. Here's one thing I want to say, and remember this. The Sixers don't blow leads in the fourth quarter. What happens is they don't score in the fourth quarter. They're lucky to score 18 points in a fourth quarter because everything gets tighter, and they don't have the three-point shooters, and the other team comes in and they have a hot three-point shooter in the fourth quarter. They're in trouble. That's why I want to ask you about the Bellini thing, because they need to get some other scoring in that fourth quarter. You're not going to get it from Simmons because the lane gets all, bottled up in the fourth quarter. You got to have some shooters, and the Sixers, it's not that they blow leads. Their talent, the way the squad is set up, they don't have the scoring power to close out games.
You're right. No, I actually think you're totally spot on that, Gus. I think it's a problem because they're young, like you said about Simmons. Embiid has a habit of turning the basketball over. Excuse me. I think it all factors in.
That's your fourth quarter offense, is hoping Embiid gets fouled.
Yep. No, it is, and it's not exactly a reliable one, and it's why they will have
collapses on them.
No doubt, they will have a lot of difficulty probably when they get to the playoffs and closing games out. Because
do you think Bellini can help him?
I think he can. Yeah. Look, I think he's a good shooter. I think when he's open, he's a great one. And Gus, we appreciate the call. A very good one. Bellinelli is a help, and the fact that we said earlier, or John Johnson told us earlier, that he talked about tonight when he signed here, that he passed up on 4 potential playoff teams to play here, gives you a sense, one, he thinks there's playing time, which leads me to truly believe we're not seeing Fultz this year. And 2, it leads me to believe that he thinks there's opportunities here late in these games to help out and be a big contributor when JJ's on the bench or whatever. I think he will be a help. Is he going to change the equation of this team in terms of how far they could go this year? Probably not. But can I see Marco Bellinelli hitting a big shot in a playoff game? Yeah, I absolutely can. And I think he might. Because he's that kind of player and he gets open, he nails him. So I like the move. And there's no downside to a buyout with Marco Bellinelli. None at all. And it's amazing. The way Gus was describing why the Sixers struggle late in games, you know who the player they miss is in most of these games is, right? They miss Markelle Fultz. Like the idea of what Markelle Fultz was supposed to be was exactly what they need late in the games because he can create his own shot. He can get to the basket, get fouled, a pull-up jumper. Unfortunately for the Sixers and for Markelle, he's not that guy anymore. And tomorrow night, we will talk to Kyle Neubeck, who will be here for the beat with alongside Derek Bodner. And Kyle had a great piece today, Philly Voice. It's been shared a million times on social media everywhere. And as it should, because it's a really good, in-depth piece. And he talked about Markelle, and he wrote about Markelle, and then talked to all these people around Markelle. The sense I get, and it wasn't said in this piece, but the sense I got from reading it was, Markelle's not playing, and he's not coming back anytime soon. 888-729-9494, pound 9494. If you want to hop in on a little process post-game show or to just jump in, you could be our last contestant here in our Flyers giveaway for tomorrow night. Flyers Devils tickets if you have your own version of a Jason Kelce rant for a different Philadelphia sports team. And I got to say, Jack, your rant to start the show tonight, but the 2020 champion Sixers, it's going to happen.
It's definitely going to happen. TJ needs to start preparing his speech right now.
Well, if he was listening to the show to start, he'd have it already.
Maybe I'll send him the audio to give him some stuff to get for him to prepare for it.
Yeah, listen, if I know TJ like I know TJ,
yeah,
he's listening anyway. Aaron is up next on WIP. Hey, Aaron.
Hey, how's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Not too shabby. I'm happy to be on with you guys. I never thought it would happen.
Well, how about that? You call in, we pop you up, and now you're here. What's on your mind?
I was actually calling to give you guys my version of the Jason Kelce speech, but I was going to do the 2004 Philadelphia Eagles if they did win the Super Bowl and the Patriots did not cheat.
Oh, I like that one, Aaron. All right, let's hear it.
All right. Let me just bring this bad boy up. I'm currently driving right now, so trying to be a good guy with no hand, like the hands-free headset. All right, let's see. All right, they said Terrell Owens is too old and he don't know when to keep his mouth shut. McNabb is too old and too fat. Andy Reid can't get past the NFC Championship game. David Akers is blind as a bat. Brian Westbrook is too short. The Javon Curse trade was a waste. We barely beat Jeff Garcia and the Browns. Brian Dawkins can't lay the sack down anymore. It's the whole team. It's the whole damn team.
It's the whole team. Aaron, we'll get you on hold there as our last one in for the show. People criticizing Dawkins in 04. I don't remember that.
I don't remember much of that, honestly.
Well,
I don't remember T.O. being too old.
How old was T.O. that year? 31? Maybe 30, 31?
I thought 9 catches in the Super Bowl.
Well, he was tremendous. Maybe if T.O. was hurt. T.O.'s too hurt to do it in the Super Bowl, something like that, which was probably said at some point. But we've had a lot of winners. All right, before we get out of here, before we hand this over to Ricky Ricardo, who's coming up from 10 to 2 tonight, we will pick our winner. And the winner is obviously headed tomorrow night to the Flyers-Devils game. 7 o'clock start, Wells Fargo Center. Flyers action's heating up. They're playing really well. Great seats for key upcoming games against the Devils, which you could go to. Canadians, Blue Jackets, and more start as low as $39. Visit flyers.com for more details to get your tickets. Jack, what do you think? We had some good ones tonight.
Yeah, I like the Flyers-centric calls. I thought were good. And then the 80 Phillies one to begin our second call I thought was great because not that I remember, but I know about all those thoughts that people had about Mike Schmidt, Larry Boa, Pete Rose, those kind of guys. So that one was a smart one for me.
80 Phillies. That was good. And he's talking about Pete Rose and left the hustle in Cincinnati. I like that one.
Boa's too short.
Yeah, you know what? I think that's our winner. Was it Dan?
It was Dan, yeah.
Dan with the 80 Phillies. You're a winner tonight, and you're headed to the Flyers game tomorrow night. So what are we at now? 8-0? Are the teams in this city 8-0 since the Eagles won the Super Bowl?
8-0 post-Super Bowl.
Here's a question. Will a Philadelphia sports team ever lose a game again?
The overwhelming evidence suggests that they will not.
Yeah, if we're basing it on everything that's happened so far the last week, the answer is no. 8-0 is pretty darn good. Let's grab one more, then we'll talk to Ricky Ricardo. Mike in Westchester. What's up, Mike?
What up, Joe?
How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Hey, what? It's like, I love the comments by Reddick about Embiid about it sounds like he was just playing around with that knee thing, right? He was clowning around.
I saw some of that. Yeah, well, I think he was great tonight, but health-wise, I thought he was okay. Yeah, some of his teammates said he was kind of playing it up and he was an actor. I don't know what happened there on Saturday night.
Anderson said he tweeted. He said he's okay too. He sent a tweet out said he's I'm good. I'll be fine, which is good news, because I like the way he's been playing lately.
No, he's been great. Eastern Conference Player of the Week. I mean, he's been unbelievable lately.
I mean, like I said, Nerlens too, right?
Yeah, no one is missing Nerlens the well right now. You're right about that.
No. There's always some funny, but he's not even playing much, is he? Or is he still hurt with Dallas?
Yeah, no, he got in Mark Cuban's, not Mark Cuban, in Rick Carlisle's doghouse down there. Yeah, he doesn't play basically at all.
It's funny, but yeah, it's great. I mean, the Flyers, the Sixers, everybody you see, and then the Flyers had a great win last night, and the Sixers would just keep winning. What's that, 9 in a row at home now? 8 in a row? How many won at home now?
I think 8 in a row at home. And the city, the two teams that are playing right now, Mike, and we appreciate it, the Flyers and Sixers combined 8-0 since the Super Bowl. And now the Sixers are the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. And they're only 2 games out of the 2 games out of the 4th seed, which is pretty incredible. That would mean home court in the first round. If they could get up to the 4 or 5 line, I think they could win a round. Because I think they could beat the Wizards or the Bucks or the Pacers. They don't have to face the Raptors or Celtics or Cavs. It's fun. They're getting there, and they're getting better by the day. All right, let's bring in Ricky Ricardo, who's going to be joining us now,
right,
and then we'll be talking at 10 o'clock.
Wait a minute.
What's up?
Are we not counting the Villanova upset from St. John's since the Super Bowl?
I want to pretend that didn't happen.
That didn't happen.
That was a big upset, too.
Huge upset, although St. John's has beaten Duke
I know.
And Marquette since then.
Which is pretty incredible because they were having an awful year.
So I guess we're just looking at Philadelphia underdog teams, not a team that was ranked numero uno.
Yes, you're right. And we'll go with the pro teams. The pro teams undefeated since the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Pretty good run. Pretty good week around here.
Heck of a run. Yeah.
So how you doing, Rick?
Look, I'm still walking on cloud 9, man. I mean, I'm walking on air. This is incredible.
How was it to be there and call that game?
It was unbelievable. It really was. And as the days go on, it starts to sink in even more and more. It really does. The Eagles won a Super Bowl in a year where, what was your prediction for the season?
I said 10-6, and they win the NFC East, maybe win a game in the playoffs, maybe.
I more or less said the same thing. I thought maybe 11-5 win the division, and let's hope they can get to the second round.
Yep.
It was just and then after the Wentz injury, did you adjust your prediction then?
Yeah, I said I kept saying I think they could win the first game. I think home field, the bye, 1 win, and then I didn't think they'd go on. Then I kept after it happened, I said, you know what? Screw it, they could beat the Vikings. Screw it, they could beat the Pats. But when it first happened, if you told me they were in the Super Bowl, I would have said I don't think so.
And most of the so-called experts, when they had the power rankings right after the wild card round.
Yep.
Most people had the Eagles 5th or 6th
of the 8 teams remaining.
Of the 8 teams left.
And they won the whole thing, and they did it and by outplaying the Patriots.
Outplaying the Patriots, out-coaching the Patriots, outsmarting the Patriots, out everything the Patriots.
What did you think of the Kelsey speech last week? Because we've been having fun with that since it happened.
That's Kelsey. I am working on recreating it in Spanish.
I'd like to hear that tonight.
Unfiltered.
I'd like to hear that tonight. Opening monologue, Ricky's Kelsey.
Not in the opening monologue, but at some point here soon, because this takes a lot of work.
Sure.
I want to get it right with the passion and the whole thing. The parade was great, with the adult beverages being flown around. A couple of them went right by my ear.
How about Doug Peterson? You see the video of him catching one? Looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah. Now here's a friend of mine. I give him all the credit. Brant Allison over in Jersey said to me today, all right, everyone's talking about what, and I heard you mention earlier, about what would be acceptable in return for Nick Foles. But has anyone brought up what would be acceptable right now to keep Nick Foles? What would it take if the team wanted Carson Wentz?
I hadn't even thought about it. It would cost a lot. But you're also, I mean, even if you're entertaining it, it's got to be a ridiculous offer.
What did the Rams give the Skins? 3 first-rounders for what turned out to be RG3, correct?
Yes.
Would you say 4 first-round picks? 4 first-round picks for a guy that's now had 2 times knee injuries.
Along with the rib, a wrist. He's had injuries. I'm going to ask you 2 questions, and then I'll leave you for your show because it's interesting. How much are you paying Nick Foles to be the franchise quarterback? Because he has 1 year left on his deal. So if you're doing this, you have to commit to Nick long term.
Right.
Are you going to pay him the kind of money we're watching Garoppolo get, or are you going to get a franchise quarterback on a discount?
I think you get him on a discount.
Okay, so that helps the equation.
Right.
The second part is, do you believe this is the real Nick Foles? Like, is this him now? Because if you do, I'll at least think about it. If you don't, then I can't even entertain it.
We were both around here when he left the field with his team in the lead.
Against the Saints?
Against the Saints.
Sure.
Did we believe that night? Let's go back and say the Eagle defense stops the Saints that night and they move on in that playoff, right?
Yep.
We all thought Nick Foles could be the guy to take us to a Super Bowl, and as it works out, after all the bells and whistles, then he did it somehow. Now, we believed in him back then. Most of us did.
People believe more in him now.
Obviously,
he's a better quarterback now. He's older and he's smarter.
He's older, smarter, but he's still a relatively young quarterback.
29 or whatever. He came in 2012 draft, same as Cousins.
So let's say someone knocks your socks off with an offer for Carson Wentz. What would it take?
A lot. An RG3 plus.
An RG3 plus
to
package.
Even think about it.
Remember, that was 3 first-round picks. It was a swap of first-round picks and 2 more, so it's a total of 3 first-round picks. Would it take 4? What, 5?
My first instinct is to say, no, I wouldn't trade Carson Wentz, but for any player, Ricky, I say there's a price for everyone.
Sure,
there's a price for everyone.
Everyone has a price.
I can't even, I don't know. I don't know what it is.
And the guy that won you a Super Bowl is Nick Foles.
Could you imagine this town if that happened? We'd eat ourselves.
Yeah.
Thanks to Jack. Thanks to Rob. Ellie for joining us on Sports Radio 94 WIP.